Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome to another Last Cloudia live stream. Today is a bit different, as you can tell. Not the normal 2 weeks, unit stuff that's happening, but today's quite interesting. We've got a Devil May Cry rerun, but what's interesting about this is there's nothing new in here. It's just the rerun units and arcs, but I decided to make this live stream instead of separating videos out and stuff because, well, the main reason being it's a lot easier, but not just the only reason, but I feel like there's a lot to cover today, and I do want to go a more in-depth, review and showcase of these units because I do like Devil May Cry. I am a fan of the series, and I do like these units, and I haven't done any testing on the units whatsoever in the unit test play quest or anything, so I do think today's going to be quite fun, and there is a significant amount of content to do in a live stream. The main reason why I didn't do a live stream for the Bayonetta Redux thing is because that was very short and there was only 2 units in there, but today is more of a proper rerun. Yeah, so definitely going to be an exciting day, I think, even though there's nothing new. The insights do look quite interesting, and I am definitely looking forward to trying them out. So let's get right into it, I suppose. First thing I want to mention is this is not exactly the same as like Bayonetta's rerun, because Bayonetta's Redux was literally just bringing back the banners themselves, and there wasn't really much of an event or anything. But with this Devil May Cry rerun, it is basically exactly the same as a normal rerun, but without any new units or arcs in it. So I do like that they're bringing back the events and everything else with this collab as well. Like we also get select tickets and some Redux tickets too, so I do think that's nice. Let's start this off, like I always do, with looking at the news. I'm going to be on Steam from the beginning today because, of course, I'm not going to be using any paid crystal today. So I have prepared this so we can have a look at the maintenance notice for, the maintenance and also the collab itself. So let's have a look at this very quickly while we're here, because might as well. So everything that's going on today, we've got obviously the main collab rerun itself. I'll have a look at that in a moment. So that'll be the main focus of today, of course it is. And then we've got the part 2 of the events for Shift Magus or Archbeam Magus, of course, and unit damage ranking is going to be tomorrow for Magus and those 2 other units. And Stormia has another boss today, which is quite nice. But also, I'm never really a big fan of these because they just take a hell of a long time to get these materials. But yeah, there is a new boss today in Stormia, so make sure to start farming that. I have done a little bit, I haven't done too much, and I believe there is an event that is doubling the drops of this. I'm not sure, I'm going to have to check, but I believe it should be in there somewhere. So this is Granados. Make sure to do that if you care about those, because they are like some of the strongest equipment in the game. Trials of Summer Beast always coming back, don't really care. I still haven't gotten these, so I really should, but I just can't be bothered, because they're nothing crazy. And some more free pulls is always great, that starts the day, and the starter dash banners. So these banners, right? These banners are for new accounts, new players, right? But because they've renewed them, they're now available to everyone for a limited amount of time. So if you're a newer player or someone that doesn't have many UR arcs or some of these units, then it might be a good idea to pull on this, even though there is a lot of good banners going on right now, honestly. But these starter dash banners are super valuable because you can get units like Spirit Maiden Sarah in here now, and that's quite insane. And Ascended Roland isn't as good as he used to be, but he's still solid. He's still a good option for newer players, so definitely pull on this if you're literally just starting. But if you're missing some of these units like Spirit Maiden Sarah, then it might be a good idea to pull on this. It's up to you, but she's still the best support in the game, so I do consider this to be quite a good banner. Moana and Zero aren't really used anymore. They're not that great, honestly. Zero used to be, but you don't really care much about them anymore. I mean, it can be used, but it's mostly for PvP and whatever. But I've also got this, which is only a paid banner. You can guarantee units in here, but probably don't worry about this one. This one's the main focus, because this also includes UR arcs up to Ascended Roland's UR arc, which is a Suratron. So you could potentially get some UR arcs from this, which is quite nice. If you're missing a bunch of UR arcs, then it might be a good idea to pull in this too, maybe, at least a little bit, because UR arcs are super valuable. There's no rate up for UR arcs, but it has a lot of UR arcs in there, so I think the chance is decent enough in this banner, and it's only available for 72 hours, so not much time to do that. Because when I recommend when you're re-rolling, I usually say to pull on a Starter Dash banner because it's the best banner. So it's still very good. All they've done is updated it to include more UR arcs and some units as well, so very good banner. And then more multiplayer drops. Boosted Histomia multiplayer rewards. Here we go. So this is until February 11th. So make sure to keep farming Histomia bosses until February 11th to get as many materials as you can to start maxing these accessories, because they are super strong. And I desperately need more people to make more multiplayer rooms, because there's just not enough people making multiplayer rooms. Like, I've been trying to do some of this over the past week, and there just aren't enough multiplayer rooms. There's just nobody doing this really, but I'm hoping that this is going to try and, you know, incentivize people to want to do this now, and hopefully there are going to be a bunch more multiplayer rooms to be able to do this, because now is the perfect time to be farming Histomia to get these, because of the double, you know, boosted rewards and double drop rates. So the amount of materials will be boosted for room masters and guests. So definitely do it now. I'm definitely going to be farming this over the next, you know, week or two until this is gone, because these accessories are super good. Yeah, multiplayer is annoying. I'm not a big fan of it either, but the rewards you get from it are definitely worth it. The accessories are just the best in the game, basically, so it's definitely worth trying to do this at some point, and now is a perfect time to do it if you can, you know, bear doing it, really. But what I recommend for this is either use a support with SCT spells and just keep spamming that, or use someone like Balezar or Shivlog Zeus, who is a tanky unit and can also hit very hard, because some of these bosses can do a lot of damage and they can also be quite tanky. So don't go for your best DPS unit, just go for some unit that is tanky and can also do strong damage at the same time, like Balezar or Shivlog Zeus. So those two units are probably my favourite ones to use for this. You could technically auto it, but I wouldn't recommend that unless you're you have a really good build, but it's best to manual this, honestly, because they can be quite difficult. So, shop updates, not too much in here, honestly. There are a few, you know, packs that don't really care about it, and then some changes. I'm just going to briefly have a look at these. So, improvements to how attacks are made by those units when regular attacking or using certain skills outside the range, they will now path more efficiently. So basically they'll probably just feel better to play as, I think. Same movement changes. Demon Trigger buff mechanics have been changed, so they have changed some of the mechanics slightly for these units to basically buff them in a way and make them stronger. So that Demon Trigger buff could only be gained by using special magic once per wave, but now when it's applied by special, there's no limit. And the descriptions will change, and the doppelganger buff for Vergil has now been extended by 10 seconds, which isn't too much, honestly. I wish they would have allowed us to, you know, keep re-triggering doppelganger, because I believe you can only use it once. And if they allowed you to keep using this, I feel like it could have been a lot better. And they've also adjusted how his unique buffs can work, and they can now be active at the same time. Activating special while it's active will no longer remove it, which is great. That's like the biggest change on Vergil, I think, but we'll go over all the units kits in a bit. I'm just talking about these while we're here, and some adjustments to Dante's, you know, styles, which are castable skills, I believe, or I don't remember, but you know, they've just got a slight change, more HP on that one. Is nice, I suppose, and then some fixes to certain descriptions and an issue with the Restore 1 SCT stock spin once per wave, but now they've changed it. So that's basically everything with the update today. But the main focus, of course, is the Devil May Cry collab. So I do want to have a look at that in this separate notice real quick, and then we'll start having a look at the units. So everything in this collab today. Obviously, we've got insight for all of these 5 units, so definitely a lot of units today. Dante, Nero, Vergil, and young Nero, basically. So we'll have a look at these units throughout the day, and this should be quite fun. And there's 4 Redux arcs. I will actually, after this, after I talked about all this news, I will talk about what you should be using with your ticket first, and then I'll start talking about the units afterwards. I think that's how I'm going to be arranging this stream today. But I'm going to keep saying it throughout the entire stream that the most important thing in this collab is the mobile office arc, and if you don't get this, then why are you playing the game when you're not getting this arc that is so strong? That's what I'm going to say. But yeah, this one's insane. The best thing from this collab, like the only reason this collab exists right now is probably because of this, but yeah. So you can get a trade ticket, which I will go over what you should be using this on soon, but of course it's going to be the mobile office arc, of course, because that's the best thing here. But I do want to cover everything else and just kind of do an overview of what they have and stuff very soon. And you can get this from doing one of the event stages, so it's very easy to get. And insight has been added for all the units, and obviously you've got the events, equipments, and stamps. And the event itself is just exactly the same event as before, just a rerun of the same event, which is fine because the event was pretty good. Yeah, this rerun is not a rerun. I called it Redux this time because it's just a Redux. It is a rerun, but doesn't have any new units or arcs in it. No new banners. It's just the rerun. It's just the Redux stuff, you know. So it is technically a rerun, but I didn't want to, you know, confuse it really. So I just called it a Redux to make it, you know, simpler, and it's just covering the insight of those rerun units. So the event itself, nothing crazy, but I think it's going to be quite fun because I think there is a time trial. Yeah, there's going to be a time trial next week, I believe, at some point. So having a time trial is nice. It's basically going to be the exact same time trial that we had before, but just done like probably a harder version of it, I guess. And you can get 4 prisms for each unit throughout the collab event, which is nice. And obviously got Insight Unit Test Play Quest for all 5 of these units, which we will be doing later on, and I think that's going to be quite fun. Definitely looking forward to doing that. And here's an overview of these units if you like to see this, but I wouldn't worry about it because we will be doing a more in-depth look at these units very soon. So we'll look at these in a moment. And then event equipment, so they do have Godforge for their paid equipments. I did have a very quick look at them earlier, and none of them looked super crazy. I think V's Kane is like the only noticeable one, I think, and it depends on who you're going to use really. But I'll have a look at these later on, but I don't think they're anything crazy, really. And obviously you've got the events equipments, they're all the same, you can level those up, there's no Godforge or anything, no. And training promos like always, and here's the banners. So I'm not a fan of these banners. I don't think anyone's a fan of these banners, because you know why? The rate ups are terrible, and there's a paid banner. So these banners are not very good. Unfortunately, I wish they did this a bit better. All they needed to do really was just increase the rates a bit and maybe have some kind of step gacha which allow you to do 15 free crystals for a ticket or something. That would have been nice, but I might be asking for too much for a collab, I don't know. But yeah, this is the normal pick what you want to be rate up banner, but unfortunately it's only a 0.8% chance on this banner. So if you pick a unit and an arc, it's only going to be 0.8% for each of them, and I don't like that because in the past, in most of these types of banners, they've had higher rate up than that, and it's either been 1% or 1.2%, and I consider that to be good. But because it's only a 0.8% chance for each of them, that's just like a normal Descent of Heroes banner that has a new unit and an SSR arc on rate up. It's basically the same thing, but for a limited arc, for a limited banner, I mean. And it being a rerun, I feel like it should have had higher rates than this, honestly. Because 0.8% for this, for old stuff, I don't think it's that good. I wish it was a higher rate up. And what makes this worse is the fact that they also have a paid version of this, but they increase the rates of the paid banner to 1.5%. And it says the base rates for the free crystal banner is 0.8%. So it's just kind of bad, honestly. I wish they didn't make this one, because I don't think anyone's going to pull on this banner, because it requires paid crystals only for this banner for a 1.5% chance, when you could instead just go to the shop and buy a trade ticket instead for 4,500 paid crystals. That's going to be the better option. So just ignore this one, and unfortunately this one's only 0.8%, so I just wish these banners were better. And we've also got some more paid banners, but these are not too bad. This one's 3,000 paid crystals, and it guarantees one collab unit that you don't have. So if you've been around for a few years and you're missing like 1 or 2 units that you want, then this could be a decent banner. But if you're missing every single one of these units, and there's most of them that you don't really care about, then it's not really recommended to do this. And definitely use your free tickets and stuff first of all before you even consider doing this. But I wouldn't recommend doing this unless you're searching for a specific unit, or if you don't mind and you want all of them, then that's up to you. But always save these for last if you are even considering to do this, because you could get what you wanted from the free tickets first or from normal pulls before. So just save that for last, I think. And the same thing with this one is the same thing, but for limited arcs, you get one that you don't have. I do like this because limited arcs do have more long-term value, so I do like this a bit more than the units one, but that's just my preference, honestly. And then we've got the ticket gacha. I haven't looked at the rates on this one yet, but I've heard the rates are not very good, and I think it's 0.2%, which is just terrible. So yeah, the rates on all of these banners are not very good for a Redux, for a rerun. It's not the best rate ups. I wish it was better. Yeah, I just wish the rates were better, honestly. Like, they kind of screwed over the banners, and that kind of sucks. But the only good thing is, I suppose, that you don't need to pull for everything unless you really like the collab. Because not everything is super valuable. There's only a couple of things that I would consider getting, which I'll talk about that in like 2 minutes. But yeah, we'll definitely be using some tickets later on, see how that goes. Hopefully we can get something, because on this account I am missing everything, so I would very much like to get something from this, and there are some things that I would definitely want to get if possible. And in the shop, these are only paid stuff, so if you don't care about it, then just ignore it. But I do think this could be good, this could be worth it, because you get one collab trade ticket for 4,500 paid crystals. It's not bad. Depending on how my summons go, and depending on what I get from tickets and stuff, I might get this, because you can just select one that you want guaranteed from this, and I think that's pretty good. It's not bad, so I might consider doing this. I think this is the only pack that's worth getting. If you're missing everything and want some of them, then this is a good thing to do, but that's the only thing I would recommend getting. With paid crystals, honestly, everything else you can probably ignore. But this is probably the best thing for people that like to spend, I think. And I'm probably going to do this at least once. It depends, because I think I want at least 3 or 4 things. It depends how it goes, but yeah, I'm probably going to do that. And then insight sets, you can just ignore these. These are not worth it. 4,000 paid crystals to get just some materials. You don't need to get this. Nobody needs to get this, so just ignore this, because I don't know why they even released this, because 4,000 paid crystals are just for these materials which you probably already have. These are just collab only materials, so these are not the only materials you can use on the unit. You can still use the normal materials. They're just giving you the option to buy some if you want to. So just ignore these because you don't need them. You really don't. And then that's everything in the maintenance notice for today. So let's close that. Been about 20 minutes, but a good amount of stuff, I think. So what I want to do next is I want to start talking about everything in the rerun in the Redux and what you should be using your select ticket on first of all, because I know that's what most people are going to be looking for and most interested in first of all. And then after that, I do want to start going over the units more properly and their insights and do some summons and some fun stuff. So should be a nice day, I think. Let's start this off with just having a look at what you should be using your ticket on. So let's have a look at the banners first of all and just go over each of these. Let's go over the first couple of, arcs and stuff that I would consider the most valuable out of this collab. So obviously the most important thing here is going to be the Devil May Cry mobile office arc. Everyone needs this. This is the most important arc in this collab. And you want to know why? It's just because Purple Orb. That's the only two words you need to know is Purple Orb. It's insanely strong, and it's never ever been power crept because it's a limited collab learnable skill, and it can stack with every other. Let me just show what it does first. Max skill stock +1. Now, it just sounds like underwhelming, right? It doesn't sound very good, but even though it just says max skill stock +1, it's super good for endgame content, especially if you have a SET spell like Honey Elixir or Amrita from the shop. They're very good spells, and we also have Insight Lena who can have infinite MP, so you can do some very good stuff with this for endgame content, giving +1 stock to your skill 3 for things like Battlegraph Simulator and Time Trial, stuff like that, which is usually 99% of the time the unit's best DPS skill, is super valuable. And I'm super excited to get this because this is going to allow units like all of my damage dealers to use this and have another skill 3 stock. So like Christmas Rem can now have 3 stocks of a skill 3, and that's just going to save a bunch more time, and because you're going to have to cast Honey Elixir less often because you have one more skill stock to use. And you can also do some fun stuff with this in PvP content as well for units like Telestio and Albedo who only have 1 stock of their skill 3. You can now increase it to 2, which is insanely good for those types of units. And even Shift Lagrabos, this used to be a thing on him as well. So this is just insanely powerful and one of the strongest skills in the game for, PvE content, and even PvP is pretty strong too. So overall, this is just one of the best skills in the game to have on your account, and it just improves your account by a lot by just having it. And you highly recommend to use this with a SET spell like Honey Elixir because that combo is just insanely strong and very good for endgame content. You're going to notice a hell of a difference when using this, and using an SET spell, it's going to be a massive difference. So highly recommend to mess around with this and get this. Everyone should be getting this right now. If you're in this collab and you're playing, you must get this because this is just super good for forever. This collab has been around for years, and it's always been a super meta skill, and it's always been super useful, so it will never get power crept. Insane value for this skill alone. And it also has phone booth, which is quite good as well, because it on a boss wave, on the start of a boss wave, it gives you 30 seconds of SCT, which is the most important effect of this skill. So this has been used in the past to allow you to clear stages quick and allow you to restore your skills to use your skill 3 at the start of the battle. It's not that useful anymore because I've never really used it for quite a while, but it used to be super strong in the past. Because it's only a boss wave, it's not as good, but it can still be quite useful, because when you need the SCT, it's restoring 30 seconds of SCT to all of your skills. So yeah, I do consider this to be quite good too, and definitely can be using this against some stages too. So these two skills are insanely good. I like them a lot. They're insanely strong. Definitely mess around with Purple Orb. I'm definitely going to be doing that. And that's the only two notable things from this arc. The trait isn't bad either, and I have used this before, because when defeating an enemy, recover 5 seconds of SCT. This can be good because it's going to stack with everything else, like Pose of Glory, it's going to stack with the SCT that you get from that as well, so this trait isn't that bad either. I've used this in PvP in the past, and even story stages, it's just quite solid for the SCT regen in there. And you also get 35% physical damage to airborne enemies when you have 50 combo or more, so it's not a bad trait, but the main thing definitely the learnable skills. And this one isn't too bad either, it's usable I suppose, but nothing crazy, but it's just the best thing here is Purple Orb and Phone Booth. You must get it. It's just a must have, everyone needs it. So that's your #1 pick, everyone needs to have that 100%. That is what you're going to be using your select ticket on if you don't end up getting it from tickets or any other summons. Make sure to save your Redux trade ticket for the end, because I believe there should be maybe 3 more tickets in, next week. They should update the event, and there should be 3 more tickets, I think, so do wait for that just in case that you get it from there, because you never know. Even though it's not very likely, you never know, so wait for that. And then the second option kinda depends. So this is the #1 pick for sure, but the second pick I would probably go for, it really depends on what you're looking for, like what type of content you care about the most. I honestly do like Devil May Cry 5 Arc, only because it has a revive accessory, which, as you know, are quite useful for guild battles, like insanely good, but it can be used outside of that, like for arena and stuff too. If you want to maximize your revives, it can be good. So it is a good long-term accessory to have if you feel like you're going to be using it. But if you don't care about it, then I don't think this really has much value, but it does have this skill, which gives a physical damage buff. So if you don't have a skill like this already, this is quite useful for the physical damage buff at the start of the battle. For 3SC, it's pretty nice. So if you don't have a skill like this already, I would recommend to select this arc as your second option, because getting a physical damage buff, if you don't already have it, is quite useful for your account in like all content. It's mostly for PvP, but can be good outside of it in like shorter stages, I suppose. So I do consider it to be quite useful skill to have for sure. So I would consider this my second option. And then after that, I think it's either going to be Urizen or V. I'm just going to have a look at both of these first. The only reason Urizen is good is for the arc trait. The arc trait is very strong, gives you 20% dark attack damage, chance for physical attacks to basically a piercing effect on this trait, and chance for skill attacks to nullify guard as well is quite strong for PvP, and strength rises as HP drops, maximum 40% strength. So this trait is just a very strong trait for PvP, and has been quite useful in the past for some dark damage dealers. It's not as good anymore. I wouldn't consider, because we have more options now, I consider the value to be not as high as it used to be. I suppose Demon's Throne could potentially be useful sometimes, but it's very, more niche. When your special gauge is full, you gain 30% long-range physical damage, which could be good on certain units, I suppose, but it's not the best, really. And this is the power, isn't bad either. Skill power rises based on current skill stock, which does synergize with Purple Orb, by the way, and it has Dark High Drive, so it's not a bad arc. And Forbidden Fruit, I never really used this one. Unit dies after 40 seconds, which is funny, but very great at cover HP and increase strength and defense by 75%. I've never really used it, it's kind of whatever, but I do consider this trait to be quite strong, and the learnable skills are not terrible. Demon's Throne and This is the Power isn't bad, and Dark High Drive, if you don't have it, I don't remember if that is on an existing arc, probably is, I don't remember which one, but it's not bad. But, and I think the last arc doesn't have anything. I'm just going to have a look at it just to check. So boost physical damage based on how much HP is left, Fire and no attribute, special damage, physical damage, and special damage cap. But yeah, the trait isn't that good. Learnable skills has Fate, which isn't the best really. That's kind of it. And then the Archive Rewards is this one, which can rarely be used. I mean, it's okay, but it's just a worse version of the Kingdom of Science flag from Dr. Stone collab, honestly. But not too bad. But this one is the worst arc. I wouldn't recommend it. You don't need this one, honestly. This one, you can just ignore this one, because I don't think it's that useful. It's not even worth putting for, in my opinion. But now let's have a look at the units. The most useful units out of all of these 5, without looking at their insight, is going to be V, because he is a ailment unit, and he has been quite useful for a long time. He's less useful than he used to be, but when he came out, he was the best ailment unit in the game, and was used for farming story stages too. He was quite good, and he is still useful for ailments. But now we have Arch being melee, who can arguably be better, because she has auto-cast Anula Mouth and continuously cast that without having to use it herself. And she's got her Anima, stun research, good normal attacks, that kind of stuff. So Arch being melee has kind of replaced V in a way, but V is still useful and can be used, you know, with Arch being melee, I suppose, if you want to, for like an ailment team, and V can be used as another ailment unit for like maze if you need it. So I do still consider him to be quite useful for a long-term unit because he inflicts ailments. So he is the best one here. I'm just going to have a quick look at what he has in his kit already. So Blockade was used for killing enemies, wave clearing. This doesn't include his insight, by the way, because this is thunder, and his insight does make it dark. So this is just his base skills, and these haven't changed at all. So these are the same that they were from like 3 years ago. So none of this has changed. I'm not going to cover it fully, but basically TLDR is he is a ailment unit which has very good normal attacks, some of the best normal attacks in the game, because he's long range, and his normal attacks, he has a lot of hits from his normal attacks, and you can spam them quite quickly, so his normal attacks are very strong for an ailment unit. And he also has a Nula Mouth at the start of the battle, but he can't keep recasting it, but the fact that it's at the start of the battle is quite good. And he does have his paid staff, or paid weapon, which is quite good for ailments too. And he's got stun research, which is amazing for stun. So he is a very good ailment unit, and I highly recommend to get him, but don't prioritize him over the arcs. Devil May Cry Office is the #1 still, and then I would probably recommend Devil May Cry 5 arc, depending on if you have a you know, Battlestar physical damage buff skill already. If you already have one of these skills on your accounts, then, and you don't care about PvP, then it might be better to get V or Urizen. I mean, it depends. I mean, Urizen doesn't have anything crazy or much value, but Demon's Throne, even though I never used it in the past, I can see it being useful. I just don't think that you're really going to be using that ever, and this is the power 20% based on skill stock. I just, you know, I think this is mostly for the trait, so I'd probably consider V to be more useful than Urizen, honestly. So probably these two that I have selected right now, V and Mobile Office, are what you should be selecting on this rate up. Everyone should be doing this, because V and this arc are the two best ones in here. If you care about the meta stuff, that is. If you don't, then select whatever unit you want. If you feel like you don't need V, then that's up to you. I personally like Vergil. Everyone likes Vergil, probably. He's fun. He's a great unit, you know. He's cool. I like Vergil, but, you know, you don't need him. That's the thing, is if you just care about meta stuff, then all you need is Mobile Office. And technically you don't need anything else, you just need Mobile Office, but some of the other stuff can have some value too, so it just kind of depends on what you're looking for and what you already have, and if you care about them, you know, it's up to you. But I can say for sure that some of these do have value. I'm just considering getting Mobile Office, Devil May Cry 5, and V if possible. I just want to get those three, because I consider those three to be quite good for long term. And apart from that, you don't necessarily need anything else, really. These units are, well, V can be both, I suppose, can be both PvP and PvE content, for ailments. And the other units are just PvE units, I think. I don't think they're going to be anything crazy, but I haven't looked at their insight properly yet. And we will be doing that next, or very soon at least. And these arcs, Mobile Office is both PvP and PvE, and Devil May Cry 5 is mostly for PvP, for the Archive reward, and Time to Kick Some Ass is mostly PvP too. Urizen mostly PvP as well, so there are some PvP stuff in here, but some PvE stuff as well. So definitely get Mobile Office, 100%. And then apart from that, V and Devil May Cry 5, depending on if you care about it or not, and what you have, and Urizen. Everything else you probably don't need, really. But I do want to check all of these units with their insights very soon, just because I think it could make them strong potentially. I remember in the past that Nero was used in Arena when he came out. I don't think his insight is going to save him enough because of current meta is just, current meta, I don't feel like any of these units are going to fit in the current meta, apart from maybe the 4 ailments. That's like the only possible units that I can think of that could fit in Arena right now. But Nero used to be used for his skill 3, Whirlwind Attack, Frontal Wide Area Earth Combo Attack. This one used to be very good in Arena and was quite fun. I do consider him to be quite a fun unit, and even his skill 2 was quite good. He's quite a fun unit, honestly. I like the base form of Nero. He's quite fun. So if you like Nero, I don't blame you for going for him, because he's actually quite a well-designed unit and quite fun. So I do think it's quite good, because he's fun. That's the main thing. But if you're just caring about meta, then you don't necessarily need him at all. So it depends on if you're a fan of these or not. But yeah, I think that's all I'm going to say about recommended, options for your ticket. Is definitely get Mobile Office. That's what everyone should be getting no matter what. Even if you feel like you're not going to be using it, just get it anyway, because you're most likely going to be using it at some point for Purple Orb or for Phone Booth. Those two skills are amazing, so just make sure to get this. Can't say it enough. I'm going to keep saying it throughout the entire stream. Make sure you get it before the collab ends, because it's so good. But apart from that, everything else is kind of, not necessary, but have some useful stuff. So I'm going to leave it there for the moment in regards to everything in the Redux. But I do want to check the insights for all of these units and start showcasing them and looking at their Godforge equipment as well. I'm still kind of half deciding on in what order I want to do this in, because I do want to do the showcase, but I usually do the showcase after the summons. So I think what I'm probably going to do now is use my tickets, maybe do a couple of single pulls, and then start doing the showcase and looking at their insight after that. Because I do want to focus on one unit at a time, so I think what I'm going to do is look at the first unit's insights and their equipment, and then showcase them afterwards and do that on each unit. So that will take most of the stream, honestly. That's going to be most of the stream, is looking at their insight and doing the showcase. So I think for now, I'm just going to do a few summons with my tickets and see if we get anything, because I'm missing everything from this collab on this account. So I'm just going to do some summons now, and then we will start showcasing the insight afterwards. That's going to be the plan. So there are a few things that I would very much like to have. Obviously, Mobile Office, of course, I would definitely need to get that. Urizen, don't necessarily need that, but I do want Mobile Office, Devil May Cry 5, and V. Those are like the 3 I want the most. Everything else, not necessary, but they would be fun to have. Like, I think Vergil will be fun. I like him because he's a cool unit. His design is very cool. I just like him as a unit, you know. And base form of Nero could be fun, but, you know, I don't need these units, really. Even though I'm a fan, and I've played these games, I just don't feel like they're necessary, and I don't think they're going to fit into the meta, but it depends on their insight, which I haven't looked at yet, so let's just use these tickets, see what we get. I'm hoping we get at least something. Let me just have a quick look at the probability on this. So, the rate up on the ticket banner is 0.2% for the units and 0.2% for the arcs as well. So it's not very good. It's really not very good. The rate ups on the tickets are very bad, but at least there's like a small chance of getting something. Yeah, it's 1.8% chance of getting something, which, I mean, it's not, if you're missing everything, then maybe you could get something, but I don't know, I still don't think it's that great, 0.2%, at least there is a rate up, at least better than nothing, but I wish this was a banner instead, like, well, as well, I wish that this was also a banner you could use crystals on it as well, instead of the choose pickup gacha. Reason why I'm saying that is because this one is 0.8%, for both of them, which is 1.6% combined, but the ticket banner is 1.8% combined, so yeah, that's not bad from 30k, I suppose, but I do recommend to wait for the moment, because I believe we should get 3 more tickets from, you know, the event update next week, because currently you can get 17 tickets, so it would make sense if there were 3 more next week from the events to make it 20. I believe that should be the case. Let's use these 7 first. I'm missing everything from this, so I would really desperately like to get something from these tickets, if possible. I'm not expecting anything because the rates are not very good, but if I at least get something, which doesn't look like there is going to be anything, I'm already disappointed because I saw Lilibets. This one's nothing. I'm just going to skip that, of course. And then a temple ticket. And then I think I'm going to use a couple of free crystals maybe, but I'm not going to be pulling too much on this because I do want to save for next week because there are 3 more tickets. Then maybe I'll do a couple more, but can you at least be 1 or 2 reds in this temple? Because maybe. Yes, there is a beach, so that is a red at least. Good, but it's not guaranteed to be new. And there's no gobble, so it's probably a dupe, because you have a lower than 50% chance of getting actually something on banner, so I don't have any hopes, but you never know, I suppose. Nah, any extra animation? No, I mean, it could still be something, but nah, it's only 1, it's not going to be anything in there. Yeah, that's how tickets are going to go for everyone, I think, and I just don't like this, what they've done with this ticket banner, you know? I wish we had, you know, a way to get more of this Redux stuff, honestly. I'm going to be doing, just a few free crystals. I'm not going to be spending too much, because I do want to save for, you know, just in case, for those 3 more tickets, in next week, and also the daily gachas could do that as well. This is just a waste of your paid crystals, don't pull on this one, even though it is a 1.5%, which is better. It's just not recommended because you could just use those paid crystals to select the thing that you want from the shop instead, guaranteed, so just don't gamble on this. It's not recommended. I'm going to do a few on this. We're not doing any temples. I didn't mean to skip that, but okay. We're gonna just see if we can get a few reds and try and get something new from this, because I would like to get some things from this collab, like V and some of the arcs would be very nice, if possible. Theria isn't always good. Yeah, that's bad. Yeah, that's bad. Why is Theria always bad? Yeah, Inspiratus materials are the materials for Insight. Come on, can we get a red or two and something new? That would be great. I have heard of people not being very lucky with this banner because the rates are very low compared to previous rerun banners, so yeah, I don't have any hopes for this, really. Yeah, there are a couple of Insight units in the game already. Yeah, try not to waste too many crystals on this collab, even though it is a collab and it may never get a rerun, we don't know, but... Yes, even though 70,000 was a lot, getting Spirit Maiden Sarah is amazing, and UR Arcs as well is insanely good, so definitely worth it for sure. Man, haven't even had a red from this one yet. It's bad. I at least want to get one or two reds to try and get V or the Arc, because currently I have V selected and phone booth, or mobile office, because I would like both. But we haven't even got a red from this. This is terrible. Yeah, I think they've just done this rerun. I mean, I like that this has had a rerun, but I don't like the rates on these banners. The gold, eh, I'll watch it. I'll just see the animation just in case. No, I won't. There would have been a chance there'd be a red if there were animations, that there would have been some chance, but no. Yeah, this, I don't think this ban is very good, is it? The second best thing is the Devil May Cry 5 arc, if you care about PvP for the revive accessory, or the battle start physical damage buff if you don't have one already. But if you do want to, you know, look at... Really? That's sad. If you do want to go back to, you can always go back to when I talked about it after the stream has ended, because I will be adding the timestamps, and I did already talk about the rerun stuff. Let me just try and get another red or something. I'm not gonna do too many more because I'm gonna try and take my time with this collab, but it does feel bad that I just got completely nothing from tickets and everything else. Well, the arc that maxes allies' skills, don't you mean Great War of Ruin for special? That's the only thing I can think of. Still useful, for sure. Yeah, the next red we get is going to be the final one, I think. I'm not going to pull too much else for now, because I don't like that this banner's rates are worse than normal. Big gold. Nope, it's a blue. Yeah, this... Lilibet's never anything. Never is. Come on, let's at least get one thing, and then I will start moving on to the insight units, because I am looking forward to that. I do really want to get V, and Council of 10 is only for one unit, and increases skill stock of everyone, doesn't it? Yeah, that increases... Yeah, Council of 10 is not used much anymore, honestly. It can still be useful sometimes, yeah, but I don't think it's worth maxing the arc skill on that anymore. Just a blue. Damn it, come on, I want to get one more red, and then hopefully it's something on the rate up that I don't have. Nope. Yeah, this banner's not very good, is it? I've done 29, it isn't that many. I suppose I could do a couple more, but it 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 does restore your skills for that unit that has the arc equipped fully, but not the entire team. I think it restores one stock to the entire team and increases the max stock of the unit that has it equipped. But it's not insane anymore, and we do have the other options, like you're much better off going for a damage arc like that increase your damage cap or Icy Guardian. You're much better off with those. So Council 10 is mostly for just clearing stages, I think. No, just probably not worth the investment, honestly. Yeah, this banner's not very great, is it? uh, yeah. Well, I was hoping I would at least get something today, but yeah. No. Yeah, Magius, with Arch being Magius, he's actually quite insane. I've done a lot of testing with him over the past week, and I've got him to plus 20. He's very strong, I have to say that. He can counter Shift-Log Zeus, but if you build Shift-Log Zeus to have enough counter mitigation against Archbeam Magus, then I think Logzes could technically still win, but I myself haven't gotten Magus to plus 30 yet. This banner is terrible. This banner sucks. But yeah, Magus is very strong. I have to say that he definitely fits into the current meta and is a strong PvP unit for sure. And I've been using him a lot. He's actually quite strong against Shift Logzes, which is quite insane, honestly. Yeah, it also depends on the builds that you're using and what you're up against. Come on. Like, come on. I want to get one thing now. Just one thing. Yeah, if you have the counter skills and enough counter damage, he can definitely kill a Shift Logzaius. And it's pretty damn good, honestly. Come on, I'm just gonna get one red, okay? I said that the last time, but I mean it this time. This isn't very good. I know it feels like I've been doing this for a long time because I do single balls and it makes it longer, but there's no reason to do 10 pulls. I always say it. Kind of want to see a beach or something new. If if you have an account that already has these units, then you don't need to worry about pulling anything because you would already have them. I mean, no. Why do I even bother watching when it's just gonna do that to me? I don't know. There's a beach. Okay, this one's the last pull. I'm hoping there's something in here. Please be a gobble. There's no gobble. Yeah, it's a dupe. Okay, maybe not. That's great. That's great. I at least got something today. So, and it's the best arc. So I can't complain about that. Honestly, it's fine. 260,000 is great. So I do actually want Devil May Cry 5 as well. That's my next arc choice, honestly. Can you trade for tickets? Yes. That's good. That's great. I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna use those tickets. So I still want V and Devil May Cry 5 for sure, but I felt like I should probably take my time. Let's use these first. No beach. Zekus could give a red, but it's a gold. Tharia, maybe, but probably not. One animation is Adele, it's not going to be red, nah. Needed to have more people show up than that, for sure. Let me see. I could do a couple more singles to maybe get one more thing. I'll do a few more. I did say I was going to stop, but because I got that arc, if it was the unit, I think I would have stopped. Maybe. I don't know. I'm just talking out my ass, but I'll just see if I get one more. And then we'll do the inside stuff afterwards. It's the plan. Yeah, tickets didn't give me anything either. Tickets are kind of bad. But, I don't recommend spending too many crystals on this banner. It just really depends. Can Tharia at least give good luck this time? No, she can't. Why does Tharia never give good luck anymore? If you see, like, a Tharia or a Lilibet, you know it's bad, basically, now. And I just think it's weird. Major look at this corner, you see a Zekus. Zekus is, like, probably the best one to show up now. That's what it feels like to me, but I don't know. If I can get a beach, that would be perfect. Because if I get one more red, maybe it could be something. It's probably not, because it's a lower than 50% chance to get something on rate up, so blue is not going to be anything. Yeah, I know. I just made that, you know, right side quickly just to fill it with something. I didn't want it to be empty. But I think the only reason it looks like that is because it's dark. Because it's got a black background, it looks a bit weird, I think. I think that's the only reason. Which I should have thought about that. Could I have like a border? I don't know if you can have a border. Can you have a border? Because that would be nice. I would like to have a border. I don't know if you can do that. I don't think so. I don't think you can do that. It would have been nice though. Because I do like my borders. Roadmap? Nah. I mean, in the past there used to be like, we used to know what would be coming up, but in this game, not anymore. It's just wait and see. That's what it is now. Nobody knows what's coming in the future. Some people look at leaks. I don't do that myself. Come on, can we get one more red and then I'll stop pulling? That's the plan. Looks like not. Not. Okay, that wasn't really what I meant. I didn't mean that. But okay. Dragon Ball collab hasn't happened. Say look, I've got enough for one ticket. Perfect. As a sign that I should stop pulling, I think. You could always check on Goldmine to see what this game has had collabs with. Honestly, there's been quite a lot of collabs, but not as many as Grand Summoners, of course. Be a red. No. Okay. I think I'm gonna... probably leave that there, maybe, possibly, I don't know, maybe, potentially, I don't know, because, there's 20 days left, well, 21, so I don't technically need to summon everything right now. I can just take my time, I think, and also, some bad news. This collab is just fits into the normal schedule, so next week is going to be another new unit, unfortunately. So right now we've got Archbeing Magius, and of course Cgrail, and we've also got collab Redux going on, and then next week's going to be another new unit. It's a lot of stuff going on, a lot of banners happening. Anniversary should be in April, I think. I think I'm going to stop for now, okay? I think I'm not going to pull anymore. I'm going to try and be reasonable this time, because I've got this one, that's the one that I wanted the most. I do still want the other two, V and the Arc, but I'm not going to go super hard on this one, because I do want to wait just in case I get something from those tickets next week, and there's also these daily gadgets I can do instead. Yeah, but here's the thing though. Magius released last week, he released a week ago, and in this game we get one new unit release every 2 weeks, or basically on average, just how it works. In collabs it's a bit different, but we had Magius a week ago and Cgrail 3 weeks ago, so next week will be exactly 2 weeks between when Magius released and next week, of course, so there's definitely going to be a new unit next week, because this collab being this week doesn't change the schedule in any way. The unit happening next week is still going to happen, I believe. Let me just have a quick look at the events. So this currently, yeah, this lasts another week, so when this event ends, there will be a new event with the new units next week, right? And this event is just like a bonus, basically. It's just happening on top of everything else. So basically it's the normal schedule of unit release and event every 2 weeks, but they fit in a rerun collab in the middle. Yeah, it's 1 unit every 2 weeks, about 2 units per month, which, I mean, it's not bad. It's okay, I'm fine with that. But the problem is when you get into collabs, when you start adding collabs into the mix, it's a lot quicker. It's a lot more unit releases, because when a collab releases, sometimes it's more than 1 unit release. Sometimes you get 2 units at the same time in a new collab, and then you get 1 unit a week sometimes in collab. It's kind of insane, but yeah. So let's move on next. We'll leave those summons there for the moment. I'm not going to do any more today. I'm going to be taking my time with that and doing the event and stuff, and hoping I get some more later on, but for now there are some other things I do want to cover today, and this is going to take the majority of the rest of the stream. So I do want to start showcasing the insights and reviewing those. Vergil or Magius is a good question that a lot of people are probably going to be thinking and wondering. Well, I can't say yet because I haven't tried out Vergil, but I think Magius is going to be hard to beat, because Archbeing Magius's potential against god types, especially when they are broken in break, is just insane, and I don't think Vergil's going to be able to compete with that. And Vergil's doppelganger buff is only once per wave, I think, so Vergil doesn't last against stages that last a long time, and Magius, I just think Magius is going to be better, unfortunately, which is kind of, it's unfortunate that Magius released and then we literally get Vergil's insight a week later. It's just very unfortunate timing, really. So here's what I want to do today, right now, is I want to start having a look at each of these units one at a time, Is there any boss who can survive those 40 seconds of Vergil? Well, yeah, of course. Battlegraph Simulator bosses is the main one. But if you're just thinking of endgame bosses, then yeah, probably not. Maybe not. But Battlegraph Simulator has insane health that for like... I mean, maybe in time trials he could work there too, potentially. And the fact that he can get double hits and Icy Guardian, all that stuff could be great. I'm just bringing up my... I have the insight stuff on my phone, so I'm going to be using that to refer back to everything. So, here we go. Let's start having a look at the insight for all of these units. So how I'm going to be doing this is I'm going to be looking at each unit one at a time in the order that I have them on my phone, which is Nero, Dante, V, Vergil, and then Young Knights, Nero, in that order. So I'm going to be doing that order, and I'm going to be covering one unit at a time, each of their added insight skills, and any extra stuff they've added on their skills, and their Godforge equipment, and then we'll showcase them one at a time as well. So let's start this off with Nero. So Nero's the first unit we're going to be looking at today. Let's have a look at his insights first of all. So, Nero's insights. His skills, well, these skills haven't really changed, I don't think. At least the descriptions haven't changed. But I believe the animations and hit counts might have changed. I haven't tried them out myself yet. That's what we're going to be doing very soon. But the one most notable thing is his special now has plus 100,000 damage cap on it, and it didn't have that before. I believe it was like plus 30,000 instead, so more damage cap on his special. And yeah, his skill 3 will be very good for DPS, and his skill 2, because skill 2 has 12,000 more damage cap, and he's a dual wield damage dealer. So I think his skill 3 and skill 2 could both be very strong, and overall he is quite a fun unit. So I do like him. But let's start having a look at his new skills that he's got on Insight. I don't think I'm gonna go over for all the traits because they have not changed. So they are all the same. They haven't changed. I'm just gonna be covering everything in Insight. So first skill he got from Insight, his heroism up max, which is more strength, defense, HP, so more strength's gonna be nice. Also got fighting spirit 5, even more strength and HP. More strength's gonna be useful. Anti-type breakthrough 4 is gonna be down here somewhere, which I definitely missed. Anti-type breakthrough 4 is just more damage cap against anti-type effects, so more damage cap does help. Sword Giga Boost is obviously going to be more damage cap and more damage. Very nice to have that as well. So some solid damage caps at the moment, because he is a dual wield damage dealer, so more damage cap is going to be very beneficial. Auto Grand Brave, of course, you all know what that is. So he's got Grand Brave and Brave. These don't stack. This is just basically an improved version of Brave. Unfortunately, he doesn't have EX Brave, but Grand Brave is still an improvement. Sky High 3 is on him now, so more damage and damage cap to airborne enemies. Unfortunately, this does not apply to bosses that can't be launched in the air, and there are a lot of bosses that can't be launched in the air, especially against endgame bosses like Battlegraph Simulator. So yeah, against bosses he might not be the best, against bosses that can't be launched in the air, but against maybe human type enemies that can be launched, or certain bosses that can be launched in the air, he should be quite strong against those enemies. Next skill, Special Boost 5, is more special damage and damage cap. Don't think it's going to be anything crazy. Giant Killing 4 is more damage and damage cap to bosses, so solid damage cap so far, pretty nice. And Elemental Out is one I am not familiar with. When physical or magic attribute attacking an enemy with 0 resistance, -5 enemy resistance. Yeah, it's nothing crazy. Basically, if they have 0 resistance, it decreases it by 5 to treat it as a weakness, which is nice. But it's not a crazy skill. It's not that great, but it's okay. And then the last skill that he got from his insight is physical weak point boost, which is nice, and that does synergize with elemental out, I suppose. But the downside is that all three of his skills have a different element. So he's got fire on his skill 1, and he's got thunder on his skill 2, and he's got earth on his skill 3. So it was recommended to use Trishula on him, because hitting weakness is kind of difficult when he's got 3 different elements. His special is actually a non-attribute special, because it says powerful combo attack from one enemy. Unless it does change the elements, I don't think it does, but I don't remember. So that is all that he got with his insight, are those skills. But wait, there's more. That isn't everything. That's just the added passive skills that he got from insight. There are some insight only skills. I do want to do an overview of everything that he has in his kit already, just to like compare it to like a new unit. So solid strength, critical rate looks pretty high, especially if the enemy is in the air. Devil Hunter, anti-beast creature spirit, and undead type effects quite interesting. So he is going to have quite high critical rates. And he was a decent PvP unit in the past, because air hike, when you could launch an enemy into the air, he was quite strong. But because we've got units like Shiflog Zeus and a lot of we've got more arc traits and stuff that can nullify flinch, I feel like Nero's not going to work in PvP anymore, even with his insight. Even though he does have a lot of damage when enemies in the air, I just don't think it's going to work, because a lot of units have flinch resistance. Will new Megas get that insight someday? Well, no. Insight is only made for older units, and collab units, older collab units too. So new Megas won't have it for like ever. I mean, maybe in like 10 years, but it's not going to happen. But for very old units, and for old collab units that came out years ago, they will get insight. It's basically guaranteed that every old collab unit will get insight eventually. So definitely look forward to that, because units like 2B, 2P, and you know, Shift 9S, I'm looking forward to those, and like Dr. Stone and all those units are going to get insight eventually. So yeah, it's for old units that need it, because these units are outdated, so they desperately need insight. That is why they've got it. Best speed dual wield. So he does need to dual wield machine and sword, which is fine because they are some of the most accessible weapons in the game. He does have a lot of machine boost and sword boost, which is pretty nice. Quick trigger. And his unique skills. I believe you can only equip one at a time, right? Oh, chance it breaks when taking damage and change to a different one. But if you... And it won't activate once it's broken. But if you only equip one of them, then it's going to be guaranteed to use that one. And I do like these, if you remember. I'm just gonna, you know, remind everyone what these do. Is this one has a chance for skill attacks to deal stun and an extra thunder damage. So basically, by having this equipped, you're going to get 30% physical damage. But when this specific skill is active, so each one of these gives a different buff, I believe. And when it's active, it gives you a specific effect based on that buff. So this one gives you a chance for extra thunder damage and a chance for your skill attacks to do stun, which is quite fun. So it could technically be an element to stun unit, which is funny. Yeah, basically V is the only unit worth investment, but I haven't seen their insight yet. I'm going through that now. So I will probably do a review of those units after I've looked at their insight. But I'm not super... I don't think it's going to be anything crazy yet, but... You know, I'm still looking at it. But V is the long-term unit that you know is guaranteed to be useful long-term. More critical damage when this one's active, basically piercing and 10% critical rates. So you get more critical rate with this, which could be good with Icy Guardian builds, that's nice. More damage cap. When it's active, you get more damage and break. Chance to deal critical on your special, more special damage, HP, strength defense. That's probably the least useful one, honestly. You could probably remove that one. is the most useless one. So now let's have a look at his insight skills. So the new insight skills that he got right here. Right, so insights. First one, of course, he got more special damage, 150%, a lot of damage, but he definitely needs it. More special damage cap, 200,000. I know it sounds like a lot, but I'm pretty sure his special has very low hit counts, and that is the reason why. Critical damage cap, we're never really a fan of this, because critical damage cap, I would much prefer physical damage cap instead. So 50,000 critical damage cap is good, but I just would have preferred, you know, physical damage cap or skill damage cap instead would have been better. There's skill 3 boost, so that's interesting. 30% more damage for skill 3 and 30,000 damage cap for your skill 3, so that does kind of incentivize you to want to use his skill 3 more. And he's going to make his skill 3 better than skill 2, because skill 3 is now going to have 30,000 more damage cap to it. So that does make his skill 3 a lot better, for sure. So that's going to be quite nice. Take less magic damage by 25%, boost thunder resistance by 5, light resistance by 15, curse resistance, and sky high, so even more damage, 30% damage to airborne enemies, and 10,000 damage cap as well. And then this one's quite nice. I do like this one. When critically skill attacking, there's a chance to restore 1 second of SET for the skill that you used. So for each critical hit you do, there's a chance that you restore 1 second of SET for the skill that you used. So if you use a skill 3, there's a chance to get SET for that skill 3, which is quite nice. It's not going to be anything crazy, I don't think, but he does have a good amount of critical rates. So I do think it will be quite good for some SET regen, nothing crazy, but will be quite nice. I hope it's a high enough chance, like 50% or something will be quite nice. And the last one here is damage cap to beast creature and undead spirit types, plus 30,000. So his insight looks nice, but there are like a few things that are concerning. With the main one being he has to hit enemies that are in the air, and if you're hitting a boss that can't be launched in the air, then he's losing out a lot of damage, like a ton of damage, and some critical rate as well, and some damage cap. So you are missing a bunch if you're not hitting an enemy that can be launched in the air. So he can basically only be used reliably against enemies that can be launched in the air. So that's just the most important thing to think about when using this unit. And I don't know if he has enough damage cap yet. I was hoping he would have a insight that increases damage cap. He does have critical damage cap and some other, damage cap skills, but I don't know if it's enough yet. Is V better than melee? Well, I don't think so. I think melee can be better in most cases, but yeah, I'm on the Steam version right now. That's how I'm doing this. I do like the Steam version the most. I play on my phone most of the time. I just access Steam so I can stream this. I can't stream on my phone, obviously. But yeah, I do consider V to be the best one. We'll talk about V's insight soon, but V can be better than melee in some situations. They both got their advantages, but melee might be easier to use and just, simpler, I suppose. But they both got their advantages, I think. I think V's stun potential might be better, potentially by a little bit, because long range better normal attacks, but yeah, it depends. So back to Nero, his paid equipment, he now has Godforge for his weapon. Let me just show you this in the alchemy lab, just to show you exactly what his new Godforge equipments are, and then we'll start showcasing him. I believe he only has one. He does have two. I don't know why they're using it. Actually, that's because, yeah, this one's cloves, which you don't want to use. I don't know why they gave him paid cloves. I never know why they did that. But yeah, this is the base one, and then the Godforge is now 50% damage for your skill 1, and a physical damage cap 3000 when physically attacking enemy defense minus 20% deal damage. So 20% guaranteed piercing all the time is very nice. You stack that with the machine boost as well, which is even more piercing, which is very cool. So he's going to have quite a lot of piercing in his kit, which is quite useful to have. This weapon isn't that crazy because it doesn't actually give you any damage for your skill 3 or your skill 2 or your special, so it's not the best, honestly. And he does have another one, but I don't think you're even ever going to use this because it's Clove's continuous high protection, speed effects, damage taken from beast type. Yeah, it's not very good. This one's just bad. Just don't get it because he's a dual wield damage dealer. So now let's try him out in the unit test play quest now that we've seen everything that he has. So let's go to Nero. They're probably not multiplicative. I don't exactly know because I don't really know the maths behind it, but it's probably only additive. Because if you were to be able to get enough piercing to be 100% piercing, it's probably not going to be 100%. I don't know. If you activate a 50% piercing plus more piercing to end up being 100% in total, is it going to be 100% on that hit? I don't know. It might. I don't exactly know how it works, but I don't worry about it. I really don't worry about it. But piercing is nice to have because it makes it a lot easier to cap against bosses that have a lot of stats like high defense, so it is quite useful. Let's try them out now. I haven't tried them out myself yet. Here's what they're using in the unit test play quest, by the way. Sword and machine is what you should be using all the time on this unit, for sure, because he has a lot of machine boosts and sword boosts, so let's try them out. I don't think I'm going to be impressed on any of these units, but I think it's going to be quite fun to try them out, see what they're like. That's what I'm mostly looking forward to, is just seeing their performance, really. So, I think normal attack is nothing different, really. You're never really going to be using it. You're going to be using his skills most of all. His stats, yeah, his strength isn't very good, is it? Very low strength, and right now he has Overture, which is chance for stun and chance to deal extra thunder damage as well. So let's start off with skill 1. We'll be seeing more damage cap when the enemy's in the air. It's not very fast. I think skill 1 was fun. I just don't think it's very fast, and it's just not a very good skill for DPS, you know? They actually got stunned, which is funny. You can stay in the air, though, if you spam it fast enough, so it can be quite fun. It's just super slow. It's just incredibly slow, so you're probably never going to be using it. And I don't think his damage cap is that good either. And then we go on to his skill 2, which I believe could be used anywhere. Let's try his skill 1 to see the range of it first of all. Yeah, you've got to be very close for that. You're probably never going to be using that one for PvE because it's just too slow. Now, skill 2. I do like this one. I was a fan of this one in the past as well. Because it's very quick. You can spam this one quite fast. This is where it starts getting a lot better with this unit. You can keep spamming that. It's actually quite good. The damage cap isn't terrible. Not the worst, I suppose. I mean, the critical damage caps are good, but the normal damage, I just think they didn't give him enough damage cap. I think they should have given him more damage cap. I think that's what he's lacking. And let's try his skill 3 and his special as well, because there's going to be his skill 3 is going to be a lot more interesting. But I do like his skill 2. I have always been a fan of his skill 2. It's quite fun and quite fast, so you can pull enemies in. It's quite a nice skill. So this time he got Gretty, chance to greatly cut defense and deal damage and boost critical rate. So now this time he's got more critical rates. So you'll be seeing more critical hits for sure. And then the main skill, the one that everyone's looking forward to, is skill 3, which I believe you should be able to use it anyway, right? And if you do it close up, does it do more hits? I believe it. Oh, it's just the same, okay. I was just curious. I haven't used this guy in years. This skill is very, very good, I have to say. His best skill, very strong. You can spam it quite fast. If you can, if you equip purple, if you put purple orb on him, that's going to be great, because then you get 3 stocks of his skill 3, and then have Honey Elixir in the team, and just keep spamming this. It's going to be quite strong, honestly, but only against enemies that you can launch in the air, you know. I believe you should be, I think how this worked before is on his way to the enemy, I think you can pick up other enemies on the way there, so you can hit other enemies and like pull them up. It's quite a fun skill, I have to say, and definitely the best skill in his kit that you're going to be using most of the time, because it's very good. So this time you're basically just doing a slot machine every time you go into the battle. Boost skill damage, yeah, this one's kind of whatever. Boost chance to put bosses into breaks, kind of not very useful here. And his skill 2 can miss, by the way, like you saw that. It can just miss completely. So that's one downside of his skill 2, is it can just completely miss. So this is like the worst combo in existence. The worst combo ever, because it just doesn't work, you just miss completely. Just keep that in mind. This is funny though. So special, let's try the special out, because this should be good. The animations of these are quite cool. Yeah, it's not even hitting damage cap, is it? I mean, 52 hits, though. You can also skip it. I mean, 52 hits isn't too bad, considering he has a lot of damage cap on his special, but it's only single target, and he's not even hitting damage cap right now on it. So I don't think it's going to be anything crazy, honestly. When you're using this guy, I think the main thing you're going to be using him for is his skill 3. And he's definitely going to be quite fun. It's going to be a very fun unit to use, for sure. I do like it. Yeah, not very impressive, but he's fun. So, he's got the fun factor up quite high, right? But if you don't care about that and just want meta stuff, then just ignore him. But he's quite cool and he's a fun unit, so that's kind of it, you know. At the end of the day, he is just a damage dealer, right? And you're only going to be pulling for him or using him if you actually like Nero, and you know you like the franchise. That's like the only reason you're going to be using him. But the insight does make him usable now, and he isn't bad. He's not going to be meta at all, but he can be usable now. So if you like Nero, you can definitely use him now, and he can, you know, perform a lot better than he used to. But it's not going to be anything crazy, and there are a lot better options. Like Siege Real is just a lot better in every way. So you know, it's not the best, but I think his DPS is still going to be quite strong, because he does have some potential, especially if you give him Icy Guardian, because he has quite a lot of crit rates, especially when the enemy's in the air, and his skill 3 is quite quick, especially if you're spamming his skill 3 and you have Honey Elixir, then you can continuously keep spamming the skill 3 and the DPS is going to be quite high. So I do think there is some potential there. I just don't think it's going to be anything crazy and worth pulling for at all, but it's usable. Definitely can be quite strong for PvE for DPS potential. It's not bad. But don't expect anything crazy, but I do think spamming his skill 3 is going to be quite fun against some bosses, but that's probably about it. Apart from that, I don't think there's anything else that's crazy about this guy, because he's just a damage dealer at the end of the day, so you don't need him. Actually, one thing I didn't pay attention to was the amount of SCT regen he's getting from the critical hits. I do want to check that really quick just to see. So this time he's got just increased stats, like one of the most useless ones. Yeah, so that activated like once. That activated twice. You can see it, like the bar just go up slightly. That is the skill activating. Yeah, it's not activating that often, but you could increase his crit rate even more to get more procs of this. So, and of course on skill 3 you're going to barely notice it. You know, that's quite a cool combo. You can do a skill 3 and then a skill 1 to stay in the air. That is quite fun. But yeah, the SCT regen from that skill isn't anything crazy. It's just very small. It's a very small SCT regen effect. But you could increase his crit rate even more, and it could be better slightly, but not by much different. An SD hero standard. If you mean the standard hero, I'm not entirely sure, but yeah, I believe someone has updated the beginner's kind of reroll thing guide on what you should be pulling for list. That's somewhere if I remember, but 7k paid pack, right? Yeah, that one. Yeah, that ticket is just the same as this ticket. Both of these tickets are the same thing. I don't think you can only select from the Devil May Cry stuff from that one. It's basically the same as everything in the Redux. Was there anything else? I don't think I'm missing anything else. Well, I don't see any of those packs for me available right now. Unless that's because I bought them already. You know, there might be a thing, but I don't see the packs. Was it? Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what that ticket is, but actually it might be in here somewhere. There is one ticket I remember, but it might have been only a newer player thing. I'm not sure. I don't remember. I'm gonna be saving this one for now. Yeah, but so there is something I remember someone said before, which is there's like a newer. I think there's either a return player pack or something which gives you a ticket, which yeah, it won't be accessible for me because I have never bought it and I've never been, you know, a returning player or anything, so it's not something I can give any feedback on because I don't actually have it, so I don't know anything about it. But yeah, there are places where you can check where to use it. You can always look at Discord as well and stuff, so yeah, I think let's move on to the next unit, shall we? Otherwise, if I take too long, we'll end up being here the whole day, and That would be a long time, wouldn't it? Right, let's move on to the next unit. So we've gone over Nero right now. That was the first unit. Pretty fun, honestly. Now let's go over the next unit, which is Dante. Dante was like the most underwhelming character from this whole collab, so I don't blame you if you're not that interested, because he was always just kind of mid and underwhelming when he released, because of his skills being way too damn slow. That's like the main reason. I thought he was cool, but he was like the most useless unit in this collab. But maybe, hopefully, his insight could actually make him useful now, or at least usable, more usable than he used to be. But let's have a look at his insight and everything right now. So his skills, we will try them out soon. I don't think there's really anything crazy that has been added here. They all say the same thing, but I know they have changed the animations a bit and the hit counts. So we will look at the skills in the showcase. Now let's have a look at the new insight passive skills that he got. Also, his trait is still the same, hasn't changed. For insight, it doesn't touch the traits, they stay the same. Fire attack damage, pretty nice. HP buff and stuff. So let's have a look at what he got added. So first thing that I want to go over is his new improvements to his styles. So these different styles are what he's always had, right? But they have improved these slightly. So the Trickster style now has 25% SAT recovery speed, and you can only have one style at a time. Honestly, these are all kind of, you know, the effect that you get from these styles isn't that crazy. They're just whatever. You're probably going to be casting one and then leaving it, or maybe not even casting one at all and just, you know, using them normally. But this one just gives movement speed and SAT recovery speed, chance to evade physical attacks. The only difference is the SAT recovery speed got improved. Next one, Sword Master. The only difference with this one is they increased the break to 150%. And then Royal Guard style, the only difference with this one is they increased the HP cap to 10,000 instead of whatever it was before. And that's the only difference with these, so honestly not really that much different. Nothing crazy. And now let's go over his new passive skills that he got from Insight. So first of all, Fighting Spirit max, so more strength and HP, very nice. Resolve up max. So I think he's trying to be like a hybrid, like a bruiser type unit, who can be slightly tanky and do damage, I think. Autogram Brave as well, very nice. Autogram Fort, interesting I suppose. Anti-type Breakthrough 4, even more damage cap by 5,000. I think he can, yeah, this is a weird unit because he can either dual wield or single wield, so it's kind of weird. He's also got Favoured Sword. Here's where it gets weird. He's got a Favoured Sword and dual wield, so you have a choice of dual wield or single wield. It's probably recommended to dual wield, because dual wield gives you more hit counts, so it's going to be better overall. It's just weird to have them both on the same units, in the same unit's kit, it's just weird. But they did add Favoured Sword and dual wield in the Insight, which is weird. Sword Giga Boost is new, which is nice, more damage and damage cap. Fire attack raise 5, even more damage and damage cap. And Purgatory is somewhere. When special activates, use 20% of max HP for more damage and damage cap. Okay. Destroyer is more break stuff. So he is a breaker unit. Or at least he's trying to be a breaker unit. But I don't remember his break being that good. Unless they improved it, that would have been nice. And then auto high protection is new, which is nice. Unclad powers more strength when you don't have an armor equipped. And Purple Orb, so now he has Purple Orb in the base kit already, which is funny. It's quite nice. So you don't need to teach it to him because you already got it in his base kit. With Insight now, which is saving SC, I suppose. So, yeah, let's just have a look at everything that he has overall. So, obviously stats. So, some mitigation, Devil Hunter, Anti-Beast Creature, Spirit, and Undead type. Yeah. Sword boost, high boost, giga boost, Trigger Heart is what he has. Special chance to deal critical damage, more special damage, Combo Master stuff, and Breaker stuff. Charge Shot, chance of greatly low defense, chance to use MP for 30% damage, basically like a small version of Sharp Eyes. Yeah, nothing crazy on here. But now let's have a look at his insight skills, which should be a lot better, hopefully. So fire damage is increased by 40%, so this is all of his fire damage, and he's a fire damage dealer, of course, if you haven't you've seen that already. So fire damage 40%, damage cap 20,000. I don't think that's enough damage cap, honestly. It could have been higher than 20,000. I think they are definitely lacking in damage caps, and they're kind of holding back on giving them a bunch of damage caps. I don't know why. They could have given them more damage caps, honestly. So more special damage cap by 160,000. Single wheel damage cap. See, here's what I don't like, okay? What I don't like is that he's all over the place. They didn't even decide on to make him dual wield or single wield. They're like, we'll just shove a bunch of random stuff in there and try and make him do both at the same time. It's not the best, because his best DPS potential is going to be, dual wield, of course, until you see this single wield skill of 45,000 damage cap. And if you're dual wielding, you're getting nothing from this insight skill. So, and if you're single wielding, you're not getting unclad power. So it's just like some of his kit is not going to be used if you're single wielding or dual wielding, because they're trying to do both at the same time. It's just ends up not being very good, does it? Because you could have just focused on one of them, just focused on being single wield damage dealer would have been fine, or focused on dual wield, probably would have been better that way, honestly. And then more damage cap to enemies that are in break. Okay, 70,000 when dual wielding, or 140,000 when single wielding. 30% less magic damage taken, boost fire resistance by 10, earth by 10, dark by 5, curse resistance, blind resistance, and 30,000 damage cap to beast creatures, undeads, and spirit types. So this insight isn't anything crazy. Honestly, I think he's still going to be an underwhelming unit, at least based off of what's these skills I'm seeing. I've never really been a fan of Dante in this game in particular, because they've always made him just bad. I don't know why, but when Dante came out in this game, he was not very good. It was sad because I wanted him to be good, but he was never good, and that's the problem. And I feel like they're still giving him the shaft and making him bad, because his kit is all over the place. I don't know if it's going to be any good, honestly. He's probably still lacking damage caps, and he's trying to be a breaker too, and a single wield and dual wield damage dealer at the same time. It's just kind of, weird. Now let's have a look at his Godforge equipment before we do the showcase. So let's have a look at the Alchemy Lab and have a look at his Godforge equipment. So first of all, his weapon. Chance of physical and special to deal extra fire damage, increased strength by 10% and more special damage cap. It's solid, but nothing crazy. I mean, the strength and chance for extra attacks is quite nice, but it's nothing crazy really. And then his other one is actually clothes. You know what? That's probably exactly the same as Nero's coat, isn't it? It pretty much is the same thing. It's basically the same thing. Take less damage, continuous regeneration, fire attack damage cap. Basically the same thing as Nero's cloth, which isn't great, I mean, it's okay when you're single building, but it's not even giving you damage. It's only giving you mitigation and 4,000 damage cap, which isn't much. So it's not very good, is it? I don't think it's good enough. It's really not. But the weapon is solid. If you plan on using Dante, definitely get this weapon, because this weapon's going to be quite strong for the extra attacks, more strength. That's about it. But the extra attacks are very strong, so that's the only notable one, really. Now let's actually try them out. in the unit test play quest and see how he does. I don't have my hopes up. I don't think he's gonna be anything crazy, but I did see that they sped up his animations. Strength is still low. He is built single build, by the way. Skill 1. I mean, it's still slow and I don't like it. The combo disappears before I can even get the next hit off. It's the skill off. It's just not very good. I mean, yeah, the skill 1's not very good. The skill 2 is slightly better. Is a lot better. Skill 2 is a lot better. But skill 1 sucks. Yeah, skill 1 sucks. Skill 2 is pretty good. Skill 3 I remember being very long. That's what I remember in the past, is it was very long. I mean, it's still pretty similar, but... yeah, I think it still sucks balls, honestly. Unfortunately. Which is, you know... I'm not surprised. But, even Nero, Nero's insight is still better than this. I can already see that, but let's do this again. Because the problem with Dante is his skills have always been incredibly damn slow. It's just unfortunate that his skill 1 and skill 3 are just still too damn slow. Yeah, he is the worst from the collab. He's terrible. I don't know why they did this to him. It's bad. I don't know why. You get the free Redux ticket from the event. Just do the event stages. So, skill 1 takes ages and it sucks. Never use it because it's terrible. Skill 2 is best skill, arguably. I like skill 2. It's pretty good. But then you go downhill again. And you get a skill 3, which takes too long. Yeah. You know what annoys me? You know what annoys me now is using his skill 3 briefly turns off the sound, the music. Yeah, so... yeah, his skill 3 is just bad, and skill 2 is good enough, but like... let's use this. It looks cool at least. But... $56. I mean, it's an AoE special, so it's not too bad, but, yeah, I mean, what else can I say? It's not... it's not very good, is it? No. I mean, Nero has more potential than Dante. I can say that for sure. If you like Dante, unfortunately, I don't think he's worth using. His insight doesn't save him in the slightest. They didn't give him enough. I feel like nothing would have really improved him in a way to make him usable, but yeah, I mean, technically you could use him if you want to, but I don't think he's a fun unit. I prefer Nero, in this game at least. I do like Dante, but in this game his kit, it just doesn't feel very good, and his skills are just too slow, take too long. His skill 2 is the only good skill, and it's just, you know, underwhelming, so he's the worst unit from this collab, and you don't need him. And if you really like him, then you could use him if you want to, but it's just not going to be very good compared to everything else that we already have. Even Insight Nero's is going to be better, and I can already see that for sure, because Insight Nero's skills are quite fast, his skill 2 and skill 3 are quite good, but Dante's skills still being insanely slow just holds him back from being anywhere good at all, so I still don't like him, because his skills just take many years to use, and that's the most unfortunate thing with Dante, so we're going to leave that there for Dante and move on to the next unit, who is V. And V, very interesting unit. He's an element unit, and he is a unit that has been useful for a very long time because he's an element unit. Let's have a look at what they've done with his insight. So, V is a long-range element unit and can also be a damage dealer. His skills have been changed slightly. His skill 1 is now a dark attack instead of thunder. And that's basically the only change on his skills. Maybe they changed the hit counts or animations of these. Probably not by much, but we'll have a look at those soon. But the most notable thing is his skill 1 is dark now instead of thunder. And nothing else has really changed here. And now let's have a look at the new passive skills that he got from his insight. So, nothing has been changed. He's only got additions, which is now all gone up 5, which is more strength and intelligence, which is very nice because he does scale off of intelligence. He also now has Thaumaturgy Ring Plus. So he has Thaumaturgy Ring and Thaumaturgy Ring Plus at the same time, which is very strong. And you may think, well, is it kind of a waste? Well, no, because these do stack, and stacking both of these is quite strong. So I do think this is quite good, and if you want to use them as a damage dealer, you could technically, because having both of these are quite good for a damage dealer that scales off of intelligence, so I do like that. Esoteric Up 3 is more intelligence and MP and minds, but the mind doesn't really matter. Autogram Brave and Autogram Aura as well. He scales off of both of these stats, so that would be quite nice. Dark Giga Drive is even more dark damage and damage cap. It's going to be very nice. He's also got Magus or whatever, Magus Sharp Eyes, improved version of Sharp Eyes. Use MP to increase skill damage by 50%, damage cap by 5,000, which is interesting. So that could be nice. And here's the most important skill that has got added to his kit, is Ecology Research. So Ecology Research is not a learnable skill yet, and what it does is a chance to randomly inflict a basic stats ailments. So any status ailments, you have a chance to inflict any basic stats ailments with this. And he's also got stun research, illness research as well, and his paid weapon, which also have a chance for basic attacks to give any basic stats ailment as well. All of these effects will stack with each other. It's not going to, multiply the chance or anything, but it is basically another chance of activating the ailments. So having more research skills is quite useful, and having ecology research definitely helps him a lot to be a lot more reliable with stun and just any ailments. So this is a huge W with this unit, is ecology research. Very good skill. And next skill is evil absorption. I don't think this is anything crazy. This is just when taking physical or magic damage, chance to recover HP. Don't really care about that really. And Terror Jail 2 is damage mitigation, right? Take 20% less damage from enemies that have status ailments. Nothing crazy really. He's not tanky, so that doesn't really matter. You don't need mitigation because he's just a damage dealer and support ailment unit, so kind of unnecessary. And that is everything that he got with his insights. Now let's just have a brief look at everything that he has in his kit, and then start looking at the insight only skills, the insight skills at the bottom. So he does have a Nula Melf in his kit, which is always nice because he's an ailment unit, so you may need to cast that in longer battles. Quite nice. This is his unique magic spell, by the way. Take more damage, but deal more damage, and more SCT recovery speed, and more critical rate as well. It's quite nice. It would be funny if it could be a damage dealer now, That would be hilarious, actually. If he had enough damage to be a damage dealer for PvP, that would be hilarious, but I don't think that's going to be the case. Because, you know, he's an ailment unit, so I highly doubt it. But 120% physical damage in the trait 1 is pretty good, though. Yeah, physical attack break's kind of useless, but he's going to have a lot of damage against enemies that have ailments. Chance to reduce physical damage taken to 0, and illusion, it's quite funny. Divinity Slayer is quite nice. And of course, all the research skills are very nice. Stun research, amazing. And ecology research, I've already said that, but you know, it's amazing. Dark Attack Raise 2, Spirit Breath, Goddess Kiss is very good on this unit for sure. Terra Mouth skills, very nice. Maglion, of course, because he's a long range damage dealer, so that's going to help a lot. Thaumaturgy Ring 1 and 2. About to start, recover 5 seconds of SCT to all skills. Piercing. Seen that one. Decoy. Death God's very nice. Paranoia is amazing. I've always a fan of this one. It's very good. And then let's have a look at his insight skills. So insight boosts dark damage by 30%. Could have been better, but still pretty nice. Dark damage cap 40,000. Cut 30 damage by 30%. Maglion shield 30%, which will stack with the base Maglion shield, which doesn't have in his kit, but you can add it, which is quite nice. So maybe he might have enough mitigation to be somewhat tanky, because there is a significant amount of damage mitigation in here so far. Like, only if the enemy has an ailment. So if the enemy has an ailment, maybe he'll be able to survive them. Of course, not in PvP, but against bosses potentially. But it's still pretty nice. Tether Jail, even less damage taken. Boosts fire resistance by 5, ice by 5, earth by 5, silence resistance, blind resistance, and Terra Mouth is even more damage to enemies with status ailments, and plus 10,000 damage cap to enemies with status ailments. But you boost damage cap based on the number of status ailments the enemy has, maximum of 24,000 at 6 ailments, which is quite interesting. So this skill alone is giving you 34,000 damage cap, right? Because, yeah, if you have 6 ailments on the enemy, then that's quite nice. And then here's a insanely good insight skill, I have to say. Here's a very good one. Boost research effects. So, plus 1% chance of research skills activating, which is amazing. So, here's what I think, right? I think V is probably going to be more reliable at stun than melee now, because he has better normal attacks, he's long range, and he has higher research chance, and you can stack this with arc traits to do the same thing, so he can have higher chances of inflicting research skills than melee, I believe. So this is quite nice, and this is the main reason why I would really like to get this unit, is because of his ailment potential is very good, and for an ailment unit he's very strong. I'm still one of the best ailment units ever, so very strong ailment unit, but I do want to check out his damage as well, just to see if there's anything interesting there. And let's have a look at his Godforge equipment as well, and then we'll start showcasing him. So, Godforge, Alchemy, let's have a look at his weapon first. So, his staff was always a good one, because regular attacks have a chance to inflict poison, blind, silence, curse, illness, or stun, and when defeating an enemy, recover 5 seconds of SCT. It's always been a very good one, but now it's even better. Still has the same effect, but you also get 40% damage to enemies that have status ailments. So it is a very good staff. Highly recommend to get this one because it's so good. Mainly for the chance to give basic status ailments will stack with ecology research and every other research. It's basically an extra chance of inflicting an ailment, so the more chances you have, the better. So I do really like this staff. Make sure you get it. It's a very good one to have for sure. It's worth having, 100%. And then he also has a robe, which honestly you don't need, because you're going to be building him dual wield when you're using him for ailments. because dual wield, double hits, double the chance for ailments because you've got double the hits, so yeah. You're probably never going to use this. More damage cap to enemies with stats or ailments when revived give those stat buffs. Doesn't matter. You don't need this one, honestly. Just get his weapon, which is a staff, because of the ailments and more damage and recover SCT is very good. So just get that one. It's probably the most useful weapon out of all of these, because ailments is very strong. So highly recommend to get that. It's the best one from here for sure. Now let's try him out and see how he does as a damage dealer in the unit test play quest. I'm not expecting much as a damage dealer because he is built single wield, so he would be better built as a dual wield damage dealer because he doesn't have anything tied to single wield, so he's much better off being a dual wield damage dealer. Honestly, they should have given him dual wield in insight skills. That would have been a lot better, but oh well. You can always just teach it to him anyways. So yeah, stats are nothing crazy. So let me just show you his normal attack if you've never seen it before. It's very quick, and it's long range, and it's piercing. And look at the ailments already. Already got 4 ailments. I know they're weak, and V is only single wield right now, so it could be even better chance if he was dual wield. There's a lot of ailments, basically every ailment right now. So yeah, his normal attacks are why he's such a good ailment unit, because they're very fast, and this normal attack shoots things out which can pierce multiple enemies. So if there's multiple enemies grouped together, he can hit all of them at the same time, and it's very good. So now let's actually try out his skills. So skill 1, I've always been a fan of this because you can use this to clear waves of enemies quite quickly. And he used to be like the farming unit ages ago, and now this is a dark skill. It's not very fast. If you're just looking for a damage dealer, like a DPS, it's not going to be very fast. But it's pretty good at hitting multiple enemies anyways. And it's quite a nice skill. A meta team for status ailments isn't really a thing, but for PvE it definitely is. In Battleground Simulator, ailments is super important, so that's why I do consider V to be quite useful, because Battleground Simulator stunning the bosses and freezing is almost necessary. Well, it is necessary against certain bosses. So let's try his skill 2 out next. I did like this skill 2, it was a fun one, but it isn't very fast. You're not going to be getting much DPS out of any of these skills, honestly. But he is just an ailment unit, so don't expect much damage or DPS. And then the skill 3 is a bit better than the skill 2 for DPS, but it's not going to be anything crazy. And remember, he does get more damage cap per ailment on the enemy, so if I were just to spam normal attacks right now, which are hitting damage cap by the way, the boss would get more ailments, and I will do more damage cap, and then I can use skill 3 to do even more damage cap. So it might be solid enough dual wield. Now let's try out his special. It is a useful special. Even though it's only 35 hits, it did inflict some ailments. And that's like the most useful thing about a special, is the fact that it can inflict ailments. So it is a useful special for the ailments. But yeah, you can see his DPS isn't very good. And his skill 3 is very loud. Yeah, so you can basically see that he's not meant to be a main damage dealer. He's meant to be used for ailments, and has always been used as a support just for ailments, and that's it. So, in his role, his main role being an ailments unit, he's very strong at it and one of the best in the game for it. But if you're looking for a damage dealer, look for a different unit, because he's not a damage dealer really. I mean, he can do some damage, but that's not his main role, so don't expect too much out of him. And I don't think I need to showcase that again, because the skills aren't anything crazy, and it's not really the main focus of the unit, because he is an ailments unit. And what you're going to be doing is building a dual wield with V's Cane and Cactus Hammer probably, and just spamming normal attack. That's what you're going to be doing most of the time. So his skill 2 has a chance to inflict poison, skill 3 has a chance to inflict blindness, special has a chance to inflict curse or silence. So quite useful skills there. And yeah, this battle start and every 40 seconds give a cut blind resistance debuff to all enemies. This one isn't the you know, I meant to say this instead of blind resistance, but I saw blind resist and silence resist. I was like, oh yeah, great. But no, it's not that. It's basically every 40 seconds it's going to give the enemy a debuff to inflict a cut blind resistance effect, which is quite nice. It would have been better if it was Anula Mouth, because that is the most important one, but it's better than nothing, I suppose. It does mean, unfortunately, you have to keep spamming Anula Mouth, because once this effect wears off, because it disappears after 40 seconds, once it wears off, you're going to have to use it again. That's the only downside. But I'm hoping his, normal attacks and stun is reliable enough to, that casting this will be fine, but we'll see. But yeah, he's very good ailment unit, and he's the unit that I would recommend the most out of all of them, because he has long-term value for everyone's account. For an ailments unit, definitely going to be useful, and he's the unit I want the most, because ailments are quite useful, and I can definitely see him being useful against, bosses, and I do want to compare him and Arch being melee, and just kind of see who's more reliable for stun, because the main benefit V has is he's long range as well, so he has another benefit being long range, which means he's less likely to be hit, and he's more likely to survive. So that is one benefit he has as well over Arch being melee. But if you're using a light or dark damage dealer, then melee's probably going to be better for her anima to reduce those resistances, so, but V could be used in PvP as well for ailments. He's quite good at that. So I'm going to leave that there for V. He is probably the most useful unit in here because he's an ailment unit, and we don't get many ailment units in the game, and they are useful long term. That's quite nice. Now let's move on to the next unit, who is going to be Vergil. Now I really like Vergil. He's a cool unit, but is he going to be any good? I'm hoping he's good, but I don't have much expectations for him, honestly. I mean, in the 40 seconds that he has his doppelganger buff, I feel like he's going to be quite strong, but after those 40 seconds, he's probably going to fall off super hard, like Shaltir, and not do very much. But he might have some potential, really, because we'll see. But his skills, I think his skills haven't been changed. I think they're just the same. But I do like his skills. Judgment Cut, Judgment Cut Ends. These are all very nice skills. I like the animations. He's always a fun unit to use in games. Like, my favourite is when Vergil in Punishing Grey Raven is incredibly fun. It's like the most, closest you can get to playing as Vergil, basically, without playing the main game, which is funny. But yeah, he's a very fun unit. Nothing notable with his skill, so let's just move on to his passive skills. So Let's look at what he got with his insight first, and then I'll start looking at everything as a base kit, just to kind of remind people what he had. So Heroism Up Max is new, so that's more strength, which is the most notable one there, really. Divinity Bust is very nice. That's very nice. He didn't have any Slayers before, I think. Or maybe he did. I don't think so. I don't think he had any, actually. So that is very nice that he does have some Slayers now. So that's good. And the next is Auto EX Brave. So EX Brave is very useful. He's the only unit, I believe, out of this collab that has EX Brave now, which is nice. It's nice that he has this. Definitely needed this for sure. Non-attribute damage dealers do need a lot more damage than elemental units because they can't hit weakness, so they are falling behind in that regard. So they do need more damage. Favored Sword Form 2 is new, which is very nice, because it stacks with Favored Sword. So 30% damage and 30,000 damage cap to your physical attacks, which is very useful for sure. He does have Instant Strike, which is nice. But yeah, these two will both stack, and he has both of these now, so that's very good. Next skill is Tempest Intercepting Sword, which is a skill that we've only ever seen on one unit. Which, funnily enough, I believe the only unit that's ever had this is the young version of Baland, which is funny. So now Vergil has it. Boost movement speed, chance to nullify, physical damage taken, sword equips, take less critical damage taken. Nothing crazy, but the movement speed is quite nice to have. And then the next one is Closed Giga Boost. Of course, he's going to be a single damage dealer. Closed Giga Boost makes sense, and it gives more physical damage and take less damage, quite nice. And the last one here is No Attribute Attack and Raise 4, which is quite nice for more damage and damage cap, very good. So that is the only skills he got added. Honestly, not many, but the ones that he did get are quite significant, like Divinity Buster, EX Brave, Favored Sword Form 2, they're all very strong skills, and No Attribute Attack Raised 4 is also a very strong skill as well, so I do like those skills, they're quite good and quite significant, definitely needed those. And let's have a look at his insight skills next, and then we'll start looking at his, double Kanga buffs and stuff like that. So, insight skills down here, boost non-attribute damage by 30%, boost special damage by 60%, and special damage cap by 200,000. Single damage cap by 120,000, which is very useful. That's quite a lot of damage cap, and he definitely needed that. And this will be quite a big increase in damage cap, honestly. So definitely happy about seeing that for sure. Very good one. Do like that one. And he also has more critical damage cap as well. Not as useful, but still quite nice to have more damage cap. And your single wield, so it will be 50,000 damage cap. Cut damage taken by 20%. Chance to evade physical attacks, which will stack with everything else. Like illusion, it'll stack with it because it's like a separate effect of doing the same thing. Boost dark resistance by 20, boost illness resistance, and boost silence resistance, and charge special 2. So boss wave, you get 75% of your special gauge. I don't know why they didn't just give him 100%, because that would have been a lot better. He kind of needed that. Unless the other 25% is on his weapon or something. I don't think so, but it actually might be, now I think about it, you know what, it might be, but it's still pretty good though. So, that is everything that he got with his insight, and yeah, he does look quite good. The insight looks quite good, honestly. 120,000 damage cap, very solid, very strong insight right there, and some quite good insight skills like Favored Sword Form 2, so it does have quite a lot of damage cap added. Now, there are a few more things that I want to point out, which is how does this unit work exactly, and also his doppelganger buff. So let me just see this. So when he uses his special, he gets the SDT buff, which is like the Super Devil Trigger buff or something. Yeah, Sin Devil Trigger buff. So when this buff is active, increased damage and damage cap when using skill can't be interrupted by most attacks. So yeah, this one just gives him some more damage and damage cap. It's not that crazy. I mean, it used to be quite good, but it's only 10,000 damage cap now, and that isn't that significant anymore, so, you know, it's whatever. Boost damage and damage cap per hit to the enemy. So here's the main one that I want to talk about is Doppelganger. So this one is the main reason why he can be quite useful and quite strong as a damage dealer is because of this. Now, if this is familiar to someone else, that's because it is, and that is Shaltier's very similar, because it does basically the same thing. So use Alt MP to give the unit the Doppelganger buff, which doubles skill hit counts for 40 seconds, and you can only use this once per quest when only one weapon is equipped. Because of course, if it was dual wield, doubling that would be hilarious. But yeah, this is the main reason why he can be quite strong. And in those 40 seconds, I feel like he should be quite good and quite a strong damage dealer. And one of the better damage dealers in those 40 seconds, hopefully. Because doubling hit counts is insanely strong that we've seen him in the past. Like Shaltier does the same thing. And only once per quest is the biggest downside. So after those 40 seconds, the unit won't be doing that much, I think, and it's basically going to be at half of their potential. So they'll be at half of their DPS once you can't use this buff anymore, and once the buff runs out. That's the unfortunate thing. So he's not going to be good in long battles like Battleground Simulator, but he should be good in things like potentially raid bosses, maybe time trials too, could be good there, and just stages that, you know, are not going to last more than 40 seconds, basically. So that's the most important part in his kit, I think, is Doppelganger. And now he can use this skill on top of Sin Devil Trigger at the same time, and they can both be active at the same time. So that's quite nice. And now if you look at it, Doppelganger to double hit counts and all of this damage cap, like 120,000 damage cap. You know, it's a lot of damage cap, and you're doubling hit counts. So there is some potential here, hopefully. Now let's have a look at his paid equipments, I think. But I do want to just quickly check this. Until unit defeats an enemy, more damage, so good against bosses, damage to non-bosses, and damage cap, and damage from non-bosses. Who will die first? Yamato, strength buff, SDT buff active, more damage and damage cap, yeah. More piercing, yeah, technically he could have a claw, but it's kind of I mean, I don't think you're ever going to be using a claw when you could just be using a sword instead, because the sword is going to be better, but yeah, technically he could be using a sword or a claw. I'm just thinking about it now. Yeah, because paid is going to be a weapon, a sword, so why would you want to even use a claw ever? I don't know, but let's have a look at his paid equipments now. And his Godforge, and see what they're like. So, Godforge Alchemy for Vergil. His weapon, first of all, was always, you know, kind of whatever. It was alright. But now, no matter shoot damage 35%, damage cap 5000, restore 1 SCT stock for all skills when you use a special, and 7% strength, and 3% critical rate, which is quite nice. Pretty good sword for sure. If you're planning to use Vergil, definitely get this one because it is very strong and his best sword option, so might as well get it because it is available in the Crimson Horse shop. Yeah, V is definitely the best unit long term. He's got the best insight for sure for ailments. And then he should have another weapon which is Close, which could be useful. So before he had chance to nullify damage, special gauge, take less damage from bosses, and now he has chance to nullify damage. So he will get 100% of his special at the start of a boss wave when he has this. Take 30% less damage from bosses and 10,000 critical damage cap. It's not great, but the best thing about this is the special gauge. The fact that you can restore it to 100% with this, because he's got 75% in his insight, and now plus 25% extra is going to be his entire special that he can use at the start of the boss wave, so it's quite nice. Yeah, V and Archbeam and Melee are kind of very comparable. They can both be useful, right? I wouldn't say one is better than the other. I think V can potentially be more reliable at stuns now because of his insights, and he's got ecology research, more research chance, you know, so he could be better slightly, but they both have their, you know, usage. They're both useful, so it is worth having V if you can get him, for sure, but don't prioritize him over the mobile office arc, because that's just the most important thing ever. So now let's try out Vergil in the unit test play quest, because I'm looking forward to this, to see how he does. So obviously he's got paid equipment, same accessories, boost physical damage based on how much HP is left. Yeah, V being long range is definitely a bonus, and that is what can make him a bit more useful in some cases, because long range is always going to be better. So, let's see how he does. I am looking forward to this, because I do like Vergil. Obviously, normal attack's not going to be anything crazy, but skill 1... He's not hitting damage cap on the normal hits, but he is on the critical hits, which is nice. And I haven't even used his special or doppelganger buff yet. I would do that afterwards, but I do just want to show his skills out first. So skill 1 is nothing crazy, honestly. You're probably not going to be using it too much. Skill 2, I think skill 2 is pretty good. See, it's a long range skill 2. It's a long range skill 2 and very fast. His skill 2 is definitely a very good one. I wish it was... Can I spam it faster? I mean, yeah, it's decently spammable, I suppose. It's not bad. And then you've got Rising Star, which is his skill 3. You know, it's not bad. I wish there wasn't that delay in the middle, but the first few hits are still... First 10 hits are quite fast. The last 9 hits are not that bad either, so... Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a lot better than Dante already. But this isn't even my final form. I can go further beyond. I need more power. And that is Doppelganger and Sin Devil Trigger. So it can get even better. That was just his base, you know, his base skills and everything, which looks pretty cool. But this is where he actually starts being quite strong. Is when you use Doppelganger. And I'm going to use his special first, though, and try this out. Looks quite cool. I love this special, by the way. I'm not going to start singing it, but, you know, you get the idea. You know, it's just something very satisfying about his animations. I've always been a fan of it. You know, it's just something very satisfying about that. I don't know why, but that gives him the Sin Devil Trigger buff, which gives him more damage cap. Right, which is nothing crazy, but now I can also give him this. Which takes like hardly any time to cast, by the way. And now, watch this. You know, yeah, I mean, you know, it's yeah, I mean, it's gonna be very good, I can already tell that. I have to say, Vergil's gonna be very good, but if you already have a bunch of existing options, it's probably not going to be like anything crazy. But the thing is, you've got to remember this is only for 40 seconds, okay? The most important thing is it's 40 seconds only. Right, that's like the main thing.
Let's have some fun. I'll cut you in two.
See, I really want Vergil, but I know I don't actually need him.
Ashes to ashes.
It is very good, honestly. This is what I like to see. This is what I really like to see, okay? A unit like this, who has quite fast skills, a lot of hit counts, and you got doppelganger is very good. I can say that it's going to be very good. So, this isn't a unit technically worth pulling for, because he is going to get power creeps. But, if you really like Vergil, and if you want a damage dealer, I think he's going to be cool to have. Yeah, the limited gacha is the starter dash banner, because they've renewed it. Let me do this one more time because I really like him, he's fun. He's a fun unit. But unfortunately, we have Archbeing Megius. He exists right now, so that's the problem. Yeah, he doesn't hit damage cap on his normal hits when he doesn't have Sin Devil trigger. Yeah, second best non-attribute damage dealer right now. Probably. I really like it. He's very cool. I like this unit. I really do like this unit, and I'd like to have this unit. But would I use this unit? Is the next question. I'd say probably not. That's the thing though. Is he's cool and he's fun, but like, is he even necessary? No, because if you've already got Archbeing Megius, this unit becomes less useful. And if you've already got other damage dealers, technically don't need him. But I have to admit though, he is quite good, okay, in those 40 seconds. But outside of those 40 seconds, he's not going to do very much. But it is quite impressive, honestly, and I do think it's going to be quite good. And I'm looking forward to seeing what his damage numbers look like. His actual DPS numbers. Because I feel like they could be quite high. Not anything insane, but, you know, quite good. On skill 2 and skill 3, they are going to be very good for sure. So I'm going to leave it there for Vergil. I'm definitely impressed with his insight. I think he's going to be quite strong and quite useful. If you need a damage dealer, he's going to be quite good. But is he worth pulling for instead of Archbeing Megius? The answer is simply no. Archbeing Megius is going to be better. That's the simple answer. But here's the difference though. Vergil can be used anywhere, right? And all you got to do is use a special and cast Doppelganger and to reach his maximum potential. But with Archbeing Megius, Archbeing Megius, you have to break the boss and it has to be a god type. So Archbeing Megius is a lot more niche and it's a lot more difficult to reach his maximum potential. So I feel like Vergil could be a lot easier to use in more stages compared to, you know, Archbeing Megius, but Megius does have 100% critical rates every 10 seconds, for 10 seconds, so yeah, I think they're both good, so that's the thing. I haven't gone over young Nero yet. I'm just about to do that now though. I do think base Nero is pretty fun, but Vergil's definitely the best damage dealer out of all of these so far. And V is the most useful one out of all of these so far, for long term, and he's like the most useful one. But let's have a look at Nero, the young knight next. He's the last unit on this list. So let's have a look. I'm interested to see what he has, but I don't think I'm going to be impressed. I feel like Vergil's going to be better, but surprise me in a good way and not a bad way, okay? So his skills, I don't think his skills change at all. I think all these skills are the same. It doesn't seem to be any difference here. His trait was always a funny one. Randomly boost damage and damage cap. It's always been a funny one. Double the effect when you have the double trigger buff. It's always been funny. Yeah, make sure to get the equipment because it's collab limited equipment. Even if you don't feel like you're going to be using it, you never know. You might as well get it. So let's have a look at his new skills he got from Insight. So first up is Heroism up max, more strength, defense, HP, Sword Giga Boost. Is more damage and damage cap, of course. Twin Blades, 1 strike is 2 weapons equipped, special damage 30%, and critical rate 5% for the second hit dual wield type skills. Very weird. I don't think it's a new one. We've probably had it before, but I don't remember on who, and we've rarely seen it, so interesting. It's basically giving you just special damage and more critical rate. That's pretty much it. Auto Grand Brave is very nice, of course, right here. And Auto High Magic Barrier, okay. And Critical Up 3, he also has more Critical Up 3, it's very nice. And Purple Orb is the final one, so he is also another unit that has Purple Orb in his kit already, which saves some SC, and is going to be quite nice. So that is everything he has new added for Insight. Honestly, not much. It didn't really get much from his Insight, really. But yeah. Now let's have a look at his Insight skills down here. Because Phone Booth gives SCT in a boss wave, and the you know, mobile office arc is just super valuable for, you know, Purple Orbs. Insane. So let's have a look at his Insight. 80% fire damage, that's quite good. Is going to help for sure. And 40,000 damage cap. Could have been better, but he is a dual wield damage dealer, so yeah, it could have been more than that, honestly. Special damage 80%, special damage cap 150,000, anti-type damage cap by 50,000 is quite good. It does make up for it, I suppose, but you do have to hit anti-type effect. Combo Master 20% damage and 30,000 damage cap. During 50 plus hits, combos is quite good. Skill 1 boost, skill 1 damage and damage cap. Take less damage 30%, fire resist by 10, light by 10, blind resist by, yeah, blind resist and silence resist. And the last one, battle start nullify damage taken equal to 100% of unit strength, which isn't that crazy, but it's okay. So, I mean, Insight doesn't look anything crazy. I much prefer Vergil's Insight. Yeah, well, thanks for being here. We'll probably be here next week for the next unit, whatever that's going to be. But this collab seems fun so far. There is one more thing I wanted to point out, and that is the fact that his Devil Form buff, this one can now be used once per wave. So before, this was only once per quest, I think. But now you can use this once per wave, and his special that gives the same buff is also, I believe, can also be continuously applied. Yeah, it gives DT buff, Devil Trigger buff, or Demon Form buff, or whatever. It gives that buff every time you use your special now. So that is a massive improvement, as a significant upgrade, I think. Well, yeah, if you don't have melee, then of course V is going to be your best option. Like, Archwing melee and V are both comparable in my opinion. It depends on what you're looking for more. Archwing melee is the easiest option because you don't even need to cast anything, so you can just normal attack and leave her to it. But V can probably be more useful sometimes. So, yeah, this insight doesn't look anything crazy, but I am looking forward to trying it out, and maybe he has enough damage cap. I'm not sure. Let's have a look at his Godforge equipment next. Because maybe these could be good, we'll see. So, young Nero has an accessory and two accessories actually. Continuous critical effect when you have that buff active, damage and damage cap. Continuous critical effect, physical damage 15%. When you have the DT buff active, increase physical damage and damage cap by 5,000. It's quite good for an accessory, it's very strong actually. So yeah, if you plan to use this Nero, then probably worth getting that if you plan to use him. And then the next one, 3,000 damage cap, continuous haste, 15% strength. I mean, it's not as good because of less damage cap, but still quite solid, but I would probably get this coat first. Yeah, I do think V could potentially be better. I haven't done testing myself, but I can definitely imagine it. And he has long range, which is a big bonus too. So, yeah, it depends on the kind of team you want to go for, is what I'm trying to say. Because in some cases you might want Arch being melee for her anima instead, or you might want her for the, you know, Anula Melf continuously casting instead, so then you don't have to worry about casting anything, you know. It depends on the team, but I do think with these insight, his ailments should have a higher chance to inflict ailments than melee now, I think, and he's probably going to be a better option, I think. You could also potentially give him like the Parasol staff, give him a bunch of crit rates, and make him dual wields with his paid staff. You could do stuff like that. It could be fun. So I can definitely see him to be quite good for sure. I definitely recommend to get him. But let's go back to young Nero, because I do want to try him out right now. Let's see how he does. So of course he's got both paid equipments, and two fire swords makes sense. Yeah, because you could have a sword and the other weapon could be anything else, I believe. So I'm just checking. Yeah, nothing crazy. Let's try him out now. So you're definitely going to be seeing weird damage numbers with this unit because he has a trait 1 that increases his damage and damage cap randomly. But his damage cap isn't bad. And his skill 1's not too bad either. I mean, it's going to be alright, but it isn't that crazy. And this one's a close the gap skill, isn't it? Yeah. So it is quite nice for closing the gap for sure. And then skill 2. Not too bad. Not the best either, but it's not too bad. And then skill 3. Yeah. It's just no, it's bad, it's bad, it's bad, it's bad. It's not good, it's bad. Yeah, skill 3 is bad, unfortunately they haven't improved it enough to make it good. I could use demon form. Yeah, I don't know, I mean, I do remember when Shift Nero came out, he was quite strong, but that was many years ago. Right now, I don't... Yeah, he's not going to be as good as Vergil. I think Vergil's better. But let's do this a few more times. And I do want to try his special out as well. Because the special does give him the buff as well. Okay. And it also gives him the buff. I don't know, man. I don't... It's not bad, right? But it's not good either, you know? Like, it's usable. The damage cap is acceptable, but it's... The fact is, skill 3 being incredibly bad and slow just kind of ruins it. You know, like, if he had a fast skill 3, maybe that would have been good, but... I just don't think he's going to be worth getting unless you like him, really. Seeing random numbers isn't always a good thing. Like, yeah, it could be funny just to see random numbers over the place, but it means you don't know if you're hitting damage cap or not. Because you can't tell because it's a random damage cap increase. That's the problem. It's always been a problem, but... Yeah. I think he's okay. I just don't think he's anything crazy. He's going to be better than Dante at least. And technically, I don't know, is he better than base Nero? Damage cap wise, yes, but base Nero's skills are faster. Base Nero has better skills than Shift Nero. I personally prefer base Nero because he's more fun, and he's got a faster skill 3 and a skill 2 that's very good. So, I am not really a fan of young Nero, honestly. I think Vergil's definitely a lot better. You know, now I've gone through every single one of these units. Here's what I think, really. I think V is definitely the most useful one for sure. He's got the most out of his insight to make him a good and even better Almont unit. He got a lot with his insight to make him even better, so that's great. He's definitely going to be the best one in here. And then the second best insight is going to have to be Vergil. So it's V and then Vergil, in my opinion, because Vergil's actually quite strong. When you use his doppelganger buff, it's quite good. And use his special at the start of the boss wave, you get 100% of his special gauge. If you have both of his paid equipments as well as his paid clothes, then yeah, it's going to be quite good, I can see. But Vergil is only very good in stages that don't last longer than 40 seconds. Because after 40 seconds, he won't have that buff active and his DPS is kind of just average or below average, really. So Vergil's just like a burst damage unit who can be good in 40 seconds, like Shaltir. But unlike Shaltir, I think outside of those 40 seconds, he's not going to do very much. But he is a non-attribute damage dealer, which is nice. You could use him against most stages, honestly, and be quite successful. I think you could probably use him to beat most of the endgame bosses, because his DPS in those 40 seconds is quite good. And I think it's good enough for sure. Skill 3, skill 2 is quite fun, especially with Doppelganger, they're going to be quite good. So I do think Vergil's got quite a solid insight, especially when you start adding on even more damage cap and give him even more skills, he's going to be even better. So yeah, I think he's going to be quite good. And then apart from that, I think Nero's going to be fun. Dante and young Nero are just kind of, you know, not very good, honestly. Both of these units are just a bit underwhelming to me. I think young Nero isn't too bad, but compare these units to new units and you realise how bad they are. That's the thing. Yeah, Summer Lebreath has very slow normal attacks, so and she isn't, her ailments application is a lot worse than V and Melee, but she does provide team buffs and can do a little bit of damage, so she is like a less reliable ailment unit, but can do, you know, her anima and can do a little bit of damage too. So she's kind of like a mix of a support damage dealer ailments type unit. She's not, if you're just looking for ailments, the two current best in the game are definitely V and melee. Arch being melee, those are the two best ones just for ailments. But if you're looking for more than that, then Summoner Breath can sometimes be more useful. It depends what you're looking for, and if her stun application is even good enough. That's the thing, is you might be up against certain bosses that have some stun resistance, and Summoner Breath may not work against those enemies. So yeah, I think these units, they're going to be quite fun, quite good. Vergil, going to be very good. Nero could be fun, and the other two are just kind of don't ever need these really. Yeah, you do need ailment units are very important, yes, for Battlegraph Simulator. They are super important, and for Tower of Trials, they can help a bunch too. So ailments are super important in this game, and is a very important thing for certain endgame content, you know. So it's a big part of the game is ailments. That is what makes V so useful, is the fact that ailments is so useful in this game, especially stun. That's the most useful one. And now V has ecology research, stun research, and he's got plus 1% extra chance for research skills, and he can dual wield, and he's got his paid, you know, he's going to have a good chance for stun, so he's going to be very good now. Even better than he was before, which is great. So yeah, I'm going to leave that there in regards to testing out these insight units. I think I'm going to leave it there for today. I do want to, you know, go over my conclusion and everything on this collab, because there's a few things I just want to mention there. So, my conclusion for this collab today, if you even call it a collab, it's just a Redux rerun, but anyways, I think this collab is great, because it is a very good collab to get a rerun for, because we haven't had this collab rerun in about 3 years or so. So it is nice to see this have a rerun, and a lot of players like this collab mostly for the limited arcs, and mainly Purple Orb. And Purple Orb, the Devil May Cry Mobile Office arc is super good. So people are super excited about this one. That's the main reason why people like this collab, but even outside of that, if you already have it, it's still a fun collab. I like that they've added the insights for these units, and some of the insights are quite strong actually. So the insights for V and Vergil are both quite strong. I consider V to be the most useful unit out of all of these, and Vergil, his DPS is going to be quite good when he has Doppelganger buff active. I don't think he's really going to work in PvP, because he probably doesn't have enough damage, and Arch being Megas is just going to be a lot better in PvP, so I don't think Vergil's going to work in there, honestly, and I don't think any of these units are going to work in PvP currently. Maybe V could for ailment builds, but I think that's about it. There's nothing PvP crazy in here, which is fine, because not everything needs to be PvP focused. So V can be good for like all content really when you need ailments. Nero has been used in PvP in the past, but I don't think it's going to fit into current meta, honestly. But yeah, these arcs are all quite useful. Mobile Office, of course, Devil May Cry 5, very nice for the revive, archive rewards, and time to kick some ass if you're missing that. It could be quite good, and Urizen has a very nice arc trait, so there is some good stuff in here, and I do like that this is having a rerun right now, because there's some very useful stuff in here. Mostly V. I think the most important things from this collab is definitely V and Devil May Cry Mobile Office. If you can get both of those two, then that is pretty much all you really need, because those two are very good for long term for your accounts, and I highly recommend to get those. And it is nice that there isn't anything new in here, because having another collab, I mean, they could have had this collab and released new units, yes, but I'm not going to complain about this. I feel like they've done a decent enough job with this rerun. They could have done a better job with the banners themselves, honestly, but the actual event itself and the fact that you can get some tickets is quite nice. So I do like this rerun a lot more than the Bayonetta rerun, because that Bayonetta rerun was just half-assed and it was just, you know, bad. It was bad. But this rerun is actually a proper rerun, but just doesn't have anything new in it. So I do like this, and this is a very good collab to get a rerun of. And make sure you get everything that you want now, because you may not get another chance in the future to get any stuff in here. So get everything that you can. This is going to be quite a good collab for sure. There isn't going to be too much else in this collab. There's just going to be the event update next week, and that's it. There's also going to be a time trial. But the main point of this Redux is them rerunning the units and giving them insight and giving everyone the chance to get these units, and the arcs is the most important thing. So I'm very happy with this rerun. I think the insight units, at least for V and Vergil, are quite strong, and I'm happy with those two. But the rest of them are kind of whatever, really. I think Nero's could have done with a bit more damage cap, and then it could have been a lot better, but not too bad, I suppose. Dante is the worst one. He's useless, unfortunately, and young Nero is not that great either. You don't need him. Most of these are just damage dealer units, which do get power crits quite quickly, so just keep that in mind. But if you like this collab, then you do what you like. Let's just have a quick look at all the current banners are going on right now. We've got Moments Arch being Megas for another 21 days, so 3 weeks, and we've got Earth God Siegel for another week, and of course we've got the Devil May Cry collab itself for another 3 weeks as well. And that is everything on right now. Now, what do I recommend putting on the most at the moment? It really depends on what you have on your account already, but always prioritize collabs, because collabs are the most limited in this game, and it's the most important to get as many things from the collab as you can. If you get V and the mobile office arc, then you could safely skip everything else unless you care about PvP or something. If you care about PvP, then Devil May Cry 5 could be quite useful, and Urizen could be quite useful too, but they're not necessary really. I just consider V and mobile office to be more necessary. Mobile office definitely a must-have, and try to get V if you can. So that's what I recommend for that. That's the highest priority for everyone right now. And after a week of testing with Moments Arch being Megas, I can say for sure that he's a very strong unit, and a lot better than I thought he was originally, because it turns out he's a very strong PvP unit as well as a PvE unit. So he is going to be one of the better damage dealers in the game currently, because he can be good in PvP and he can be good in PvE as well. So when you get a unit that can be good in both content, I just consider them to be a lot more valuable, because investing SC into a unit that can be good in majority of content is a good investment in my opinion. So I think he's going to be a great unit to have on most players' accounts, depending on what you need. If you don't care about PvP, then and you already have damage dealers, then you won't need Arch being Megas. But if you do care about PvP, then he is quite an important unit for PvP right now. I think you could technically work without him, but he is a piece of the puzzle that a lot of people are using right now. He's going to be used a lot in arena and guild battles, so look, be cautious, because you're going to be seeing a lot of Megas, and he can destroy Shift Log Zeus if you're not careful. So look out for that. That's definitely happening, and I've been using him a lot. Spirit Maiden Sarah doesn't really need extra SC. I prefer giving the SC to damage dealers, or tanks, stuff like that. Like, PvP damage dealers need the SC the most, and mages as well, like Shiflenius or Amelia. Those are worth giving God Relic Prisms for sure. I don't think Sarah's really necessary, but yes, it would allow her to be more tanky, and giving her extra SC doesn't really matter unless you care about PvP. That's the only reason. So yeah, I would highly prioritize the collab first and get everything you want from it first, and then look at the new banners and look at your account and see what you may need. Archbeing Megas is mostly for PvP, but he can work very well outside of it as well. And for the people asking who's better, Archbeing Megas or Vergil, it really depends. I feel like Archbeing Megas has more value for your accounts because he can be used in PvP as well. But Vergil can only be used in PvE content and it can only work for 40 seconds. Well, his max DPS is only 40 seconds, right? So I feel like Archbeing Megas is a better pull than Vergil. Vergil is just if you like him. But if I were to choose Archbeing Megas or Vergil, I would have to pick Megas over Vergil because I've considered Megas to be more valuable for everyone's accounts. But that's up to you. I'll let you decide. If you like Vergil, it's up to you, but nothing wrong with having both either. And Seadriel is for another week. He's very strong still. I've talked about him already many times, but he's if you care about PvE content, and Megas is if you care about like everything. He's probably better. He's probably a better pull for your account than Seadriel. It depends. Seadriel's for endgame, and Megas can be used for endgame too, but you know, more for newer players, I'd probably recommend Megas more than Seadriel, honestly. But prioritize the collab. And one more thing is, these limited gachas are on for a limited amount of time. You've got this banner for 72 hours, so 3 days for this banner, which has these 4 units on rate up. I highly recommend everyone to pull on this banner if you don't have Spirit Maiden Sarah, because she is still the best support in the game by a lot. So highly recommend pulling this banner if you don't have her yet. And if you're missing UR arcs, then you can get them from this banner too. So it might be a good idea to pull on this banner if you're missing a lot of UR arcs. If you have most of them, then just don't worry about it and skip it, because I've got most of them and the units, so I'm not going to be pulling on that. And this one's only paid crystals. I don't think there's any rate up. Actually, there is rate up for these units, but it's probably not recommended to do this unless you're willing to do the paid crystals, but that's up to you, really. And you could still get off-banner stuff. It's recommended to do this first. You could get units from here, so yeah, this one's a very good banner to pull on if you don't have Sarah and if you're missing a bunch of arcs. But do make sure to do Devil May Cry first. Well, actually, do the Start Dash banner first, because this only has 3 days, while Devil May Cry has 3 weeks. So you do have some more time with this banner, compared to the Start Dash banner, which will disappear. But just make sure you get the limited collab stuff that you want, like V and, you know, Mobile Office. Just make sure to get that first. But yeah, I think that's everything I want to talk about today. It's pretty fun collab, honestly. I do like this collab. I am glad, I'm happy to see it return, because this is a collab that I've been asking for a while, just for Purple Orb, because I desperately wanted that. And now that I've got it, I can start using that in all of my endgame PvE builds, and maybe even some PvP builds too, but mostly going to be using that for PvE, for like Battleground Simulator and stuff, just to save them much time. But yeah, it's going to be amazing. Can't wait to do that. But yeah, I'm going to leave that there for today. Been about 3 hours to cover all this, which was pretty nice, honestly. Quite fun. I do like these insights for these units. They are quite good. I just wish they did Dante a bit better, and young Nero. They could have been a bit better, especially Dante. He's still terrible, honestly. He's still terrible. It sucks, but it is what it is. V and Vergil are very good, though. I would like to get more of these units. What my plan is for the rest of this collab is I'm going to be doing these paid single pulls, and I'm also going to be waiting for next week, so then I can get 3 more tickets, hopefully from the event, and maybe get something. And I am trying to get V still, and Devil May Cry 5, so I will definitely be pulling more on this banner because I still want to get these two things if possible. And Vergil will be nice, but I know he's not necessary for my account, so I don't feel like he's necessary for me. I don't feel like I need him, but he would be very fun. So I'm probably going to be skipping most of these units. I just want V and as many arcs as possible. That's kind of the plan. So we'll see what happens with it. And yeah, I'll leave that there for today. Hopefully everyone gets what they wanted from this collab. If you're a player that has been around for a long time, then you won't need to summon because you should have everything already, or you're going to have a couple of things already. So that's the biggest positive thing, is if you're a player that already has most of them, it's just free insights for units that already have, which is nice. And if you were missing like 1 or 2 units, you can now select one of them, so that's a good bonus. Yeah, thanks for being here. I will add the timestamps in the next 15 minutes or so, and I will be here for the next units, which I believe the next unit is next week on Thursday. So that's going to be fun. I have no idea what's going to be, but we'll wait and see. Hopefully this live stream has helped everyone out. I have considered doing multiple different things for this. I considered doing like a separate video for each unit, and I was like, nah, that's just not really the best idea. And then I considered, I've also considered doing like a separate video just to recommend what to select for your ticket and stuff like that, but I've covered everything in this live stream, and you can always use the timestamps, so this might be just fine. But I'll definitely be here next week for the next unit, whatever that's going to be. I'm hoping it's a skip, because I really need to save more crystals. I know it doesn't look like it, but I really want to, you know, start saving up for whatever's coming next. If you remember a week ago when Shift Megas came out, I was like, I was saying that there is a chance there could be a collab coming up in February. Well, I think this rerun is taking up the collab slot, and I don't believe there's going to be a new collab in February now. I don't know. I can't be sure. We're gonna have to wait and see. Maybe there's a limited Valentine's unit. That could happen. We've had one in the past, which was Alice, so that could be a thing that could happen. But anyways, I'm gonna leave that there for today. I'll add the timestamps very soon. I'll see you next week for whatever that unit's gonna be. See you then.